ESPN Upstate.
Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, children of all ages, the big show's on the radio. This is ESPN Upstate. It's time, y'all. Ill-advised yet entertaining, the Rob Brown Show is on your radio. I am Rob Brown. Directly across from me, on the other side of the much in need of a cleaning glass, both literally and metaphorically, the guy in charge of the broadcast, the pinnacle of professionalism, the content, cash cow, hashtag dad kicks, the alpha and the omega of ESPN Upstate, the conductor of the symphony of sound that is the Rob Brown Show, Lonzo, in charge of the broadcast. What's up, fella?
So should I send an email to engineering and tell them that the Rob Brown visage, his personage, his wonderful face be cleaned because it is dirty?
During the break, I'm gonna find. I have the theory that most of this is on my side
because I'm pretty sure that you're trying to see if now still.
All the way across, I feel much less disgusted with myself.
The concentration of dirt is a little more on one side, but yeah, it does seem to be universal across the glass. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't turn your head on occasions while talking, like that direction also, but you know.
We are gross people. And also
that's why TV people never would do such a thing.
Having worked in TV, it's all a charade. It's all a lie. I'm Rob. He is Lonzo. Great to be with you. Glad to have you alongside as we talk everything sports, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, okay. I gotta know though. Do all news anchors wear pants? I gotta know this. Has there ever been an occasion while?
Oh yeah. One of the highlights of my career, I was a regular reporter. I was the dude that they're like, hey, it's hurricaning outside. Send Rob out into that. Let's send Rob out to do a stand-up in the midst of a hurricane. But during
did you stand there with a surfboard the entire time?
No. And what the one thing you never see on TV out of these guys, the Cantors of the world, and they stand up. There's two things that you have to keep in mind. Number one, and this may shock you, there are some reporters that will exaggerate things in order to make the situation they're in look more dangerous.
And those people get exposed when there's someone walking on the beach behind them, like in tank top, and
yeah.
Good.
My favorite one ever was there was a girl who was reporting who was in the middle of a street, and she was, and I'll see if I can find the video here. She's reporting. In fact, I'm gonna do it now. If you're not on the stream. This is why you got to be on the stream with us, because we can take you a little bit more behind the scenes. There was a lady who was reporting on the Today Show many moons ago, Lonzo, and Matt Lauer,
NBC's
and I've got the video pulled up on our stream.
He with the secret buttons.
Yes,
that guy.
Button Lauer throws it to this lady who's like canoeing down the middle of a street in a town. And as she's canoeing down the middle of the street, these two guys just walk past her in ankle deep water. She's like rowing down the middle of the street. You can clearly see in the clip that when she goes to paddle,
New Jersey this morning.
Her oar is hitting the road, right? Like you can see the oar hit the ground underneath the canoe. That is definitely not needed. And then these two guys just walk right in front of her in ankle deep water. And she just has to keep going like they didn't just walk ankle deep in front of her very dramatic canoe shot.
Yeah, and it's in New Jersey. So those guys are wearing waders going, hey, yo, hey, yeah, hey, how you doing?
The second thing they don't tell you about doing stand-up reporting in a hurricane is that the danger is not the wind, Lonzo. The danger is what's in the wind. It's the stop signs and wood missiles off of people's fences that are blowing by you at 100 miles an hour. But the one of my favorite moments ever was I got called in one night for blizzard. I mean, we had an ice storm down in Destin, which, up here you guys are used to, but on the beach of Destin, Florida.
So when the lizards were falling out of the trees?
No, that happens in Miami every year.
Oh, okay.
We had a bona fide, you're not allowed to cross the bridges because they are ice. People are now bobsledding down highways because it's freezing ice storm. And they called me in for coverage because as a reporter, you've got your shift, but you're always on call. And so I get called in to come do coverage, and I drive to the radio station because, we can't drive ourselves. You got to be driven around by your cameraman. And anyway, I get to the studio, and the gentleman who is the anchor, and he's a nice guy, he's very well respected in the community, but he had been called in as well because, he anchors like the 10 o'clock news, but we got called in at like 11:30 midnight because there were all of these emergency warnings being issued by the county because that ice storm is going to last well into the next day. And they call us in, and I get to the TV station, and I put on my got to go outdoor clothes. So the long johns and the jeans and the hiking boots and the company issued jacket and hat and all that. And they're going live to alert people that the governor issued a state of emergency for this ice storm in the Florida Panhandle. And the lead anchor comes out of his dressing room in a blazer, a dress shirt, a tie, and khaki cargo shorts. And he goes up and he sits behind the anchor desk, and he's like, business up top, party down below, in his khaki cargo shorts and flip-flops. And I'm like, Bob, for real? And he's like, kid, nobody can see me, and it's 11:45 at night. I do not care. It's like, all right, cool enough for me. So the answer, Lonzo, is no. Not always, but occasionally, usually if it's special coverage, your TV anchor is not wearing pants. That is a correct assessment of the news. And with that little look behind the scenes, let's start the show.
Let's do lunch.
This is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented.
You guys are here. What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here? Lunch!
Let me just say that Nikola Jokic had every right to do what he did last night. He has to be suspended for it. If you didn't see it, late in the game between the Nuggets and the Heat, Markieff Morris, who is the big man for the Heat, Jokic is coming up the court. They're up 11, and he's going to launch a three-pointer from 8 feet behind the three-point line. Morris comes up and absolutely punks him. I mean, linebacker trying to knock down a running back, punk him. Jokic goes flying, gets back up. Morris is walking away from the scene of the crime, and Nikola Jokic just throws a full hockey shoulder elbow check into Marquise Morris's back as he walks away, and the foul is called on Jokic. Dear NBA, every bit of punishment that you give to Nikola Jokic deserves to be handed to Markieff Morris as well. And every punishment that you give to Morris, you better give to the officials in that game who did not call a foul on Morris as it happens.
I just got to say, Morris, I'm watching it, laying on the court. He needed to lay on the court. Man, he took a shot.
He took a shot.
Here's the other thing. You're gonna do that to me. I'm gonna make sure that you feel it. That's exactly what Jokic did.
Oh, Jokic gave him every bit of the business.
I bet. Now it's gonna depend on. Now is Morris the kind of guy that has to next time they play show, hey, I'm a man and come up and do something, or does he stay away from him?
Dude,
he stays away from him.
He's got to, right? He's got to. I'll put this up on the stream too. Again, if you're not watching, Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, Twitter.com/ESPN Upstate. Or search twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show. or twitter.com/Lonzo one word, or go to our ESPN page at twitter.com/ESPN Upstate. We stream the show live. So we've got the play. Jokic gets a rebound. He's crossing half court. And I said he was going to shoot a shot. Looking at it from the side angle, because I had only seen the angle from behind, he very clear is about to throw a pass down to one of the other Nuggets who's down by the free throw line. Marquise Morris comes up from his right-hand side and just jumps into him. I mean, he's got his elbow down by his waist, his shoulder compacted, and he throws himself into the side of Jokic as Jokic goes to throw the pass.
By the way, right there. I think he's been hit. If it's that core, that pointy part of the elbow hits in there and gets in between the rib, that's gotta hurt.
It's a weapon, dude.
Yeah,
it's a weapon. So Jokic, who is not going to take that not laying down because he did not get taken down. One thing I learned in my life, Lonzo, I saw somebody tweet earlier, one solid piece of advice to keep you alive for as long as possible: don't mess with 7 foot tall Eastern Europeans. As a rule of thumb, they're not going to take too kindly to this.
I think you need to throw in thick Eastern Europeans because, I mean, he's not fat, but he is not.
He's a big boy.
He's not skinny. Yeah.
So Jokic comes back after the foul on Morris. And I mean, dude gives every bit of an NHL shoulder charge. When he gets to him, look at the form. He loads up the right elbow in order to throw it forward. Throws the right shoulder forward as well. I mean, he's leaning forward at a 45-degree angle, and he gives every bit of it to Morris, who just goes crumpled to the ground. And my favorite part is watch Chris Hero in the black right to the right. Chris Hero walks up to him like he's going to have some words for Nikolai, and as soon as he gets right up by Nikolai, he's like, "Yeah. I'm gonna go help Mark. I'm gonna go help Morris out. Help him up."
Here's how you know it's a hard shot. If you watch Morris's head come back like he just got hit by a truck.
It's whiplash.
Yeah, so he's not. The back of his neck's gonna hurt too because it whipped back hard.
Oh, he got whipped hard. Look, Nikolai Jokic has got to be suspended for this, but this is one of those playground things, Lonzo. You ever had a situation or heard a story where the bully takes the bully takes a punch from the underdog kid who puts the bully down, and the principal calls him to the office and he's like, "I have to suspend you for standing up for yourself and doing the right thing." And he like winks and nods at the kid that knocked out the bully. That's what this is. Nikolai, you got to eat a suspension for that. The NBA can't let this stand. And we, wink, wink, are all very upset, nudge, nudge, at what you did, hands a plate of fresh warmed brownies to the 7-foot-tall Serbian who just taught Marquise Morris a very, very valuable lesson.
And the other thing is, in the locker room, you know, when they break down film, they're breaking this down. They're all laughing their butts off. They're doing exactly what we just did.
Oh, yeah.
Except they're using the pointy things, and they're going, if you notice right here when the elbow comes into, yes.
Good for him. Item number 1 on the lunch breakdown. Speaking of breakdowns of the Panthers having one, Robbie Anderson once again caught on film after Sam Darnold's 3rd interception in a 24-6 loss to the New England Patriots. Robbie Anderson caught on film absolutely dogging Sam Darnold. Darnold was seen walking to the bench. He puts his helmet down. He puts on his baseball cap. And as he does, Robbie Anderson is walking by, giving him every bit of the business. It is not the first time it has happened this year. Robbie Anderson, by the way, 1 catch for 2 yards in that game. He said that he and Sam Darnold just do not have a connection right now. It's not forming naturally that the two of them are on the same page. He said, "Look, I've only got a limited number of years to play this game, and the fact that things are not going well right now is just getting in my head." But that's not the only thing that's got me concerned. Matt Rule said that after the game, Sam Darnold was, quote, sore in his shoulder, end quote, and that, quote, he's getting an MRI and had one this morning, so we'll wait to see exactly where he is health-wise moving forward. Asked if he was going to be sticking with Sam Darnold. Remember last week going into the game against the Patriots, Matt Rule said, Sam Darnold's our guy. He's the one that's bringing us forward. We are rolling with him. But this week, that tune has changed. Matt Rule said, quote, that wasn't good enough from the quarterback position. We had guys open with some opportunities that we weren't able to connect on. Too many batted balls that can't happen at this level. And then obviously 3 giveaways. I think when you look at our season, when we protect the football, we've had the chance to win. He said, quote, I'd have to see him on Wednesday and see what does his health look like. I've seen Sam play well. I go back to his first 3 games. I thought he played well. It's kind of been this journey with him helping to take the next step. I thought he took it last week and then took a step back this week. For me right now, I just have to figure out where Darnold is. Is he okay to play this week? Is he cleared to play? And then if he is, what exactly does that look like? End quote. So the tone has changed out of Matt Rule about Sam Darnold and about the Carolina Panther offense. We'll talk more about that. Is this a quick break for the Panthers, or is this a total breakdown? We'll address that coming up in a few segments. Item number 2 on the lunch breakdown. The Atlanta Braves, a week after coming off of a World Series championship, have taken the first step in getting Freddie Freeman to remain a Brave. There's been a lot of talk about that. A lot of Braves fans really pushing the Bravos to make sure that Freddie Freeman is locked in for life. Freddie Freeman, of course, right now, technically a free agent, but the Braves have extended a qualifying offer to the slugger first baseman. Alex Anthopoulos said the reigning World Series champion goal is to, quote, keep Freddie a Brave, end quote. The Braves extended Freeman an $18.4 million one-year qualifying offer on Sunday, which Anthopoulos says was part of the, quote, process, end quote. He told reporters yesterday, look, he's a free agent. By rule, obviously, I can't say a whole lot other than what I've said in the past. We love him. He's great. We want him to stay. He wants to stay. But how the process plays out and goes from there, I can't really get into any specifics. But very similar to what I've said in the past, our goal is to sign him and keep him a Brave. The 32-year-old first baseman has emphasized that he wants to remain in Atlanta, saying that, quote, everyone knows where my heart is, end quote. Anthopoulos said that the Braves plan to increase their payroll next year, but did not elaborate how that would impact contract negotiations with Freeman. The Braves have 13 arbitration-eligible players on their roster and some high-profile free agents, including World Series MVP Jorge Soler and NLCS MVP Eddie Rosario. Item number 3 on the lunch breakdown. Our AP poll is out. Our college football playoff rankings will drop later on this evening. Cincinnati bumped in the AP up to number 2. They stay above Alabama at number 3. Oklahoma, number 4 in the AP poll. Oregon, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Michigan State, and Michigan round out the top 9, while Oklahoma State just inside the top 10. A&M, Ole Miss, Wake, BYU, and UT San Antonio are the top 15, while Auburn, Houston, Baylor, Iowa, and Wisconsin make up the top 20. 21 through 25 is NC State, Coastal Carolina, Penn State, Louisiana Lafayette, and Pittsburgh. Does the AP poll give us any indication at what our college football playoff rankings are going to be? No, but we're going to try to figure them out anyway when we come back on The Rob Brown Show. My name is Rob. The Great One is at the helm, and you are listening to The Rob Brown Show right here on ESPN Upstate. Harley-Davidson of Greenville wants you to live the Harley lifestyle, and there has never been a better or easier time to explore that than right now at Harley-Davidson of Greenville. Listen, when you talk about riding motorcycles in the great United States of America, the first brand that jumps to mind is Harley-Davidson. And here's the thing. Harley by itself is a tremendous brand. It is a brand that means quality. It is a brand that means integrity. But when you get to use Harley-Davidson of Greenville, they take that to the next level. Here's what I mean. The first time I got to go visit Harley-Davidson of Greenville, the thing that blew me away from the minute I parked in a parking lot completely devoid of litter to the moment I stepped into the showroom. And as I was waiting to talk to the folks that run the show, I'm looking around the showroom. First thing caught my eye, the beautiful new rides. They have the newest top-of-the-line Harleys, and all the work that they do to make the Harley-Davidson of your dreams a reality by customizing it exactly the way you want it. It's all right there in shop. But when I was looking away at the gear, I was looking at the helmets, I was looking at the jackets, the pants, everything you need to ride, I realized there's not a speck of dust in the place. There's not a drop of dirt anywhere in the place. The attention to detail is immaculate. And as any college or NFL coach will tell you, attention to detail is the difference between winners and losers. And you will see exactly what I mean when you visit their shop at 30 Chrome Drive. The attention to detail in their shop is immaculate, which means the attention to detail when they deal with you as a customer will be the exact same. Go and see the Harley-Davidson of Greenville difference and get into the Harley-Davidson lifestyle. Visit them at 30 Chrome Drive or see the entire shop and inventory online at upstateharley.com. Upstateharley.com. It is Harley-Davidson of Greenville.
Very short break, by the way.
Very short break, like 2 minutes?
As in a minute and a half.
Okay.
The South Carolina men's basketball team, they are set to begin their season against South Carolina Upstate. The South Carolina women, they've got a huge game against number 4 NC State. Furman basketball, they open up their season this evening as they will take on North Greenville. Of course, you can hear all the action of Furman basketball right here. While Wofford, they also open up their season tonight. They are matched up against Bob Jones.
Why such a short break?
Download the Score app today.
Don't know.
Okay.
Notice the entire first hour has shorter breaks for some reason.
Joe Giglio at 1:30.
Okay.
Since you asked.
There's nothing worse than coming home from a cold day to find out that your heater isn't working. When this happens, you need an HVAC company you can trust. A company like Priority Heating and Air. Their HVAC specialist will give your system a thorough checkup. And if you need a new unit, Priority Heating and Air is a proud distributor of the Coleman line of HVAC systems. So keep your family or business warm this winter and give Priority Heating and Air a call today at 591-1847 or online at PriorityHeatingandAirHVAC.com. HVAC problem is our priority. Priority Heating and Air.
Call 844
Text says ESPN, is it time for a Cam and Carolina reunion? We're going to talk about that in the next segment. The short answer, Lonzo, is no. The long answer, Lonzo, is no. I'll tell you why coming up in the next segment. But for now, because I never tease a segment and then don't get to it the next segment. Never do that. College football playoff rankings are going to drop this evening. They're going to drop. I believe they drop like 9 o'clock tonight. And that is for a very good reason, Lonzo. They drop tonight because tonight is night number 1 of the 2021-2022 college basketball season.
So they want you to watch a basketball game before you can find out what's going on with football.
Correct.
That's like
extortion
marketing or something. Yeah. How much is it really going to change? It isn't like they're.
Am I right? Let's start with the only one that we know for a fact. Lonzo, the Georgia Bulldogs are going to be number 1 when the playoff rankings drop tonight, right?
Oh, there's another fact. Michigan State will not be
will not be number 2.
Yes, that would be.
I think you are. I think you are correct. I think the Alabama Crimson Tide are going to jump up to number 2. I think they're going to jump up to number 2. I look what we saw behind last Saturday, especially at the spots around Alabama. It's going to be hard for the committee to backtrack from where they were last week, right? We've talked about Alabama. We have talked about the fact that the Tide have had a couple of closer games, especially now. That Florida close game looks way worse now than it did 72 hours ago, right? after Florida went in and got curb stomped by the Gamecocks this weekend. That Bama close game against Florida looked significantly worse than it did, but they started Alabama in the playoff rankings as high as they did, giving them credit for playing in the Southeastern Conference so high. You can't move them back after we saw Michigan State lose, after we saw Cincinnati in a scrape against Tulsa. You can't drop them back. So Alabama's going to jump up to number 2, I think.
Yeah, I think the biggest question is who's going to move into 4. Will everybody just move up? Will Oregon move into to 3, and will Ohio State move into 4? And will Cincinnati suddenly move into 5, like one step out of the thing?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Zoe, because I have put my rankings together. Not what I think the team should be, but what I think they will be for tonight. And we will compare and contrast tomorrow after the rankings drop. I think the committee moves Oregon, the Ducks, to number 3. They have the bad loss to Stanford in overtime. We know that. But that win over Ohio State on the road at Columbus, Lonzo, I think is going to be considered the most hefty win by any team inside the top 6. That Ohio State win is going to propel Oregon to number 3. The case could be made for Oregon to jump Alabama, considering the loss to Texas A&M, who, by the way, looks pretty good right now. But Texas A&M has a couple of bad losses in the Southeastern Conference that would, I think, ultimately penalize Alabama. The bad news for Oregon is the rest of the Pac-12 is terrible. So they lose whatever bonus points they had with that Ohio State win. But I think the Ohio State win is good enough to move Oregon to number 3. They just started Alabama so high, and you can't justify moving them back with Oregon playing in the Pac-12. So I think Georgia 1, Bama 2, Oregon 3.
And the thing is, if Ohio State continues to win, whether it's ugly or not, that makes that win better every week for Oregon. And as long as Oregon wins out, they're probably right where they are now.
That's absolutely correct. And at number 4, rounding out our playoff top 4, I've got Lonzo's Buckeyes of Ohio State jumping up and getting themselves into the top 4. The committee laid the groundwork for Oregon being ahead of the Buckeyes last week and said, hey, look, the heads-up win counts, right? The heads-up win matters, so Oregon's ahead of Ohio State. But Ohio State with a tougher schedule and Michigan State losing will slide just inside of the top 4. Right behind them at number 5, the Cincinnati Bearcats, who still have a chance, but will need a little bit of help. The Bearcats are going to get a little bit of a push. And after what I think most of us, and tell me if I'm wrong here, Lonzo, the close game against Tulsa this weekend is going to be a case for those forces that do not wish for a group of 5 team to make the playoffs. It's going to be an argument in their favor, right? It was a subpar performance, and those people are going to say, you cannot expect me to believe that Cincinnati can hang with Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, or Oregon when they had their hands full and needed every bit of 60 to get by Tulsa.
That's absolutely the argument, and it should be the argument, because you can say if Cincinnati was in the Big Ten or if Cincinnati was in the SEC, everybody there is probably better competition than Tulsa.
Yeah, that is correct. Now, what does Cincinnati have going for it to keep it at number 5? We've talked about it a lot. The win over Notre Dame on the road at South Bend is enough to keep them in contention. They really needed to smash Tulsa, and they did not do it. Just behind them at number 6, I'm putting the Michigan Wolverines. Michigan looks like a team that can make some noise, but after that L from Michigan State this weekend against Purdue, who, by the way, Purdue's got some noise behind them, right? They've got a couple of big time upsets, and not to rain on Lonzo's parade with his Buckeyes inside the top 4. Purdue's still got a matchup with Ohio State, and they have slayed some giants this year, including Sparty this past weekend.
As a matter of fact, that matchup happens this weekend.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Michigan has that big L against Michigan State, meaning the Wolverines probably aren't moving up in the rankings, but Michigan finishes out without losing another game. Lonzo, the committee may very well jump them ahead of Cincinnati as well. That is not a for granted because Cincinnati doesn't have anybody left. In fact, the one team they had left with a number outside their name, SMU, took that loss, 2 weeks ago now. And now SMU is not the same win that it might have been for Cincinnati earlier in the year. SMU falling out of the top 25 in the AP poll is a big detriment to them. Michigan winning out could jump Cincinnati. I got to tell you, I went 3 weeks ago, Lonzo. I thought there's no chance Cincinnati doesn't get in this year. Now I'm looking at it and going, I don't think they will. I think they get locked out. I think they get locked out because Ohio State jumped them. Oregon jumped them. I think Michigan can jump them. And just behind Michigan, I got Oklahoma. I got Oklahoma, and I think Oklahoma could jump them as well. The Sooners, as an undefeated Power 5 team, they came off a bye week this week. No game for the Sooners, so they couldn't help their cause any. But if Oklahoma finishes out undefeated with a much stronger SOS than Cincinnati, don't be shocked, right? We said Cincinnati needs some help. I'm not just talking about Georgia beating Alabama in the SEC championship games, though. I think Oklahoma needs to lose. I think Michigan needs to lose. And I think either Oregon or Ohio State need to lose, as well as Georgia beating Alabama. You got to have probably, if you're Cincinnati, I think you got to have at least 3 teams eat an L before you can climb into the top 4 at the end of the year. They need help.
You know, in years past, you may have thought, yeah, that's not a possibility, but the way it's gone this year, it could happen.
Sure.
It absolutely could happen.
Absolutely. It's a long shot, but probable, not impossible.
I think the most likely is Georgia beats Alabama.
But no, well, I'm saying all those things have to happen.
I know.
All those things have to happen. Georgia has to beat Alabama. Michigan has to lose to Ohio State. And Oregon needs to drop someone somewhere, probably. I don't know. I don't know if Oregon State can get them in the Civil War. But that all 3 of those teams, I think Georgia has to beat Alabama. Michigan has to lose to Ohio State. And Oregon's got to lose to somebody. All 3 of those teams have to eat an L. All 3 have to eat an L by the end of the year for Cincinnati to get in now, based on the way I think the rankings are going to drop tonight. Just behind Oklahoma, I've got Notre Dame finishing up. They jumped because of the loss to the Demon Deacons. They're going to have a difficult time getting in. That loss to Cincinnati is a killer because they need all those 3 plus Cincinnati to lose somewhere, and I don't see it happening. I got Oklahoma State behind them, Texas A&M behind them, BYU behind them. Wake Forest drops down as well after their loss to UNC. By the way, nice of the Tar Heels to finally show up after I predicted them as a potential dark horse this year. They go out and beat the only undefeated team left in the ACC. I got Ole Miss right behind them and NC State right behind them, and that's where I'll leave it for right now. So there's that's not who I think the order they should go in, but the order that I think the playoff committee will have them ranked when that info drops this evening. Again, I believe that info comes out at 9 p.m. tonight. When we come back, Panther football time. We got a texter that says, is it time for Cam and Carolina to have a reunion? The answer is no. And I'm going to tell you why. Plus, we did a segment yesterday about Sam Darnold. I want to expand on that a little bit more when we come back on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
This is also a short break.
Okay.
The Sports Center, because during upgrades, things got screwed up and nothing's getting recorded. They're trying to fix it, but and that may
So
have
like
something.
another minute and a half short. Okay.
But we want to do more. So now, for a limited time, get 1 month of services for free. That's right, 1 month on us. Get 200 megabit per second internet and business phone, and even TV, all free for 1 month. Plus free installation.
Call 855-757-4544 or visit spectrum.com/business today. Restrictions apply.
This feature sponsored by Indeed. Feeling overwhelmed because you need to hire for open roles? You need Indeed. Our hiring platform that delivers 4 times more hires than all other sites combined, according to Talent Nest. Post and hire ACE. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
From the time you get up to the time you wrap up.
They're being questioned on the.
Steven, that is correct. I did see Venom yesterday, as I told you that I would, because I always do the things that I say I'm going to do. Lonzo and I talked about it today. For what I wanted / expected it to be, it was fine. It was good. It was enjoyable. I would put Venom squarely in the category of popcorn flicks, right? Like, it's popcorn flick. It's not as impactful as most of the Marvel movies have striven to be. I kind of expected a little bit more out of Carnage, right? Like, how much, I don't know. Carnage leaving the jail set himself up to be the absolute horror that we expected. But the problem I have, and I come at this as somebody who loved Venom as a comic book character, both as a villain and as an anti-hero. The problem I have was that the whole point of Venom being terrifying was that he was powered by the psychopathic tendencies of Cletus Cassidy, right? Like, that was the point, is that Venom fed off of how much of a psychopath. Carnage fed off of how much of a psychopath Cletus Cassidy was and would murder anyone and everyone. And then the whole point ended up being that they weren't in tune with each other. Well, then that kind of takes away from Carnage being scary, right? Like, it's 2 separate entities and Cletus Cassidy isn't powerful in it, which I think was a waste. If you're not on the stream with us at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, twitter.com/ESPN Upstate, twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show, twitter.com/Lonzo on Word, or by searching The Rob Brown Show on YouTube. Lonzo and I and our esteemed guest in the stream chat about anything and everything off the air. I gave my, part of my review of Venom 2. I finally got out yesterday evening and saw Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage. Gave my full review of it on the stream. Good, but not great. Good, but not great. I expected more. I had some major flaws in that movie. Still a good popcorn flick, but not what I would have wanted. I'll do a full breakdown of that later on off the air. And then I'm sure on Fanboy Friday at 2:20 on Friday, we'll talk about it more in depth. In the meantime, let's talk Carolina Panther football for just a minute. So yesterday was the first time since the slide a few weeks back, pre the dub at Atlanta, that Matt Rule seemed to sour on Sam Darnold just a little bit. Darnold with a 3 INT game. We saw the outbursts from Robbie Anderson, not the first of the season for the young wide receiver. After Darnold's 3rd INT, when he got to the sideline, he was seen taking off his helmet, putting on his baseball cap. As he did so, Robbie Anderson walked by and gave him the business. He was clearly not thrilled about the way that game was going. After it was over, they said, Robbie, not your first outburst on the sideline. Where is it coming from? And Robbie Anderson gave what I thought was a respectable answer. He said, look, I love playing football. I'm very competitive. I only get X amount of years to live this dream. And basically what he said, Lonzo, was this year of my career and my prime is being wasted.
You know, I wonder, why is it always okay for the diva wide receiver to do this? Why didn't the quarterback do this some? Okay, man, I threw the ball to the guy. He dropped the ball. And we've seen it happen a bunch. You know, do I need to walk down there and place it in his hands for him to catch the ball? No, I've only got X amount of years in my career as a quarterback. And what am
I got to think I gotta think.
I'm not a fan of Tom Brady, in case you didn't know. But Tom Brady would be
Right? Can we call it what it is? You don't just
you earn it. And being dropped, and it's not about a pass being thrown behind somebody or something like. He's throwing some good balls, and they're just getting dropped.
Yeah. The Panthers have more drops than anybody in the league, right? I mean, we can bust up Sam Darnold as much as we want. And look, I am not exonerating Sam Darnold from any of this, right? Like I'm not exonerating Sam Darnold from any of this. Sam Darnold has not played well. Robbie Anderson's got to be better at catching the ball. Moore's got to be better at catching the ball. You can't take away what it meant to Darnold to have lost Christian McCaffrey for 5 games and then need 1 or 2 to get him back into game shape and make sure that he doesn't get injured again. You can't take away from any of that. That being said, Sam Darnold's not in a position, and I don't know, I've been on football fields in the past as a player in high school, but whatever. Lonzo, the quarterback that's throwing 50% with 3 touchdowns or 3 interceptions and a touchdown a game does not have the ability to grab a wide receiver by the face mask and inspire him. You just don't. The list of quarterbacks that have the ability to be that guy that we're asking for out of Sam Darnold, you have to perform yourself before you can get into other guys' faces about performing. All right. Now, I would say this. I think Sam Darnold would have every single right to start grabbing offensive linemen by the face, to start bringing offensive linemen into his face and going, this is garbage. You guys are getting me killed back here. He'd have every right to do it.
So you can flip this to a couple other teams. Everyone is talking about what's wrong with Patrick Mahomes. Have you watched the Kansas City game? Have you seen how many drop passes there are? Yeah, he's throwing some bad balls on occasion, but there are Tyreek Hill's dropping the ball. Travis Kelce's dropping the ball. I think the receivers this year on a lot of teams are dropping balls that they would have caught in the past, but they're not getting the vitriol that the quarterbacks are.
That I agree with. And that is where I was going. I'm glad you brought that up. That's exactly the path I was taking. I have seen the curses directed at Sam Darnold on social media all week long. And it's justified. The guy's not playing well. I have not seen a ton directed at Robbie, at DJ. I have not seen a ton directed at, I've seen them directed at the offensive line. But usually it's in the form of, yeah, we know the offensive line isn't good, but ... followed by a criticism of Sam Darnold. I got news for you. If you stick me out there in my 2003 Honda Accord and expect me to beat Kyle Larson in a NASCAR race, I am going to fail. I might be the best driver of all time, but if the horsepower ain't there, you ain't winning the race.
Well, the obvious comparison, and I've just made it, but I'm going to make it again. Look at the Super Bowl last year. Look at what Kansas City did all the way up to the Super Bowl. They lose both tackles coming in. Patrick Mahomes could, arguably some people are saying will be the best of all time. You can't say that yet, but some people are saying that. Look at what he did in the Super Bowl. He looked just as bad as Sam Darnold because he was running for his life the entire time.
Fact. And we're going to talk to Rashad Beard coming up on Thursday at 1:00 for the Panther podcast, Panther Nation podcast update. But look,
hey, what would Cam Newton be doing back there if it was him?
What's different? Running for his life better? You know what I mean? Like he'd be better at running for his life. I got news for you. When your defensive line is beating up the offensive line the way that teams are doing right now to the Panthers, all it takes is 2 real good defensive ends to keep the quarterback contained. You bring 3 up the middle, and it doesn't matter if it's Cam Newton or Lamar Jackson or Michael Vick, right? And when Darnold is getting time to put the ball down the field, the Panthers have more drops than anybody else in the league. How is that on him? The problem that I have now is Matt Rule is now sounding like the fans. It is never good, Lonzo, when your coach sounds like a fan. And right now, Matt Rule sounds like a fan. Going after Darnold. How's that going to help? Now, the problem you have here if you're the Panthers is you are officially locked in with Sam Darnold, all right? For this year anyway. Maybe you can make a move next year to have somebody else under center. But think about this. Before you start dabbling in trade scenarios, who wants Sam Darnold right now? Who you trading him to? Right? Because I get a lot of, we'll just trade Sam Darnold. That'll open up some room. Well, you're still going to be on the hook for a chunk of his contract. But who are you trading him to? Who wants him right now?
Well, the other thing about Matt Rule saying what he's saying, each person, and you find this out if you ever have to train people or manage people, are motivated by different things. Some people need to be coddled. Some people need attaboys. Some people you need to get in their face. And some people you need to question their manhood. I've never done any of those things. Never me. I wouldn't do that. So maybe that's what he's doing. Maybe this is what motivates him. Or I mean, from what we've seen in Sam Darnold, this looks like something that would break him, not motivate him.
Yeah, you got to wonder. And I guess that's kind of the direction I was going here is if Matt Rule gives up on Sam Darnold, I don't know what type of motivation works best for Sam Darnold, right? I don't know if he needs an attaboy, if he needs hands-on coaching, if he just needs time, if he needs a kick in the ass, or if he needs to have his manhood challenged. I don't know what it is. What I do know is that Darnold's been crapped on his entire career. It continues here in Carolina. Maybe it's deserved. I've told you a number of times. I told you yesterday. I am treating Sam Darnold as a rookie. I am treating him like this is his first year in the National Football League. But-a-dup, but-a-dup. I am giving him all the leeway he needs. But what I do know is he's been crapped on his entire career, and it hadn't worked yet, right? Now, maybe you're at the point where you just believe this is all Sam Darnold's fault, and he's just not good enough. But I'm here to tell you, if you are putting the blame for the Panthers' demise solely, squarely, only on Sam Darnold, I would encourage you to go back and watch those games again. I would encourage you to go back and watch those games because this is absolutely not solely on Sam Darnold. That offensive line, which, by the way, and we've got some moves to tell you about. They've had a couple of guys that have been banged up. Paradis is on with a torn ACL. He's out for the year. That's one of the few bright spots up there. I got to tell you, I don't think there's a quarterback in the league that would succeed behind the garbage OL that is the Carolina Panthers right now. I don't think there's a quarterback in the league that would succeed behind that. Patrick Mahomes is behind a bad offensive line in Kansas City right now. How's that going for y'all, Alonzo?
It's ugly.
Yeah, that's Patrick Mahomes, dude. That's the baby goat. That's Madden cover. If Mahomes can't do it behind a bad O-line in KC, what makes you think Sam Darnold can do it behind an atrocious OL in Charlotte? Let's take a break, come back, wrap up hour number 1 after this on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. All right, never mind. I can't make a wrestling joke here because I'm too mad about it. 3:16 on the clock. Marsh.
You'd warn me ahead of time. I could have got the breaking glass.
So in fact, you know what? Let me do this. Let me have the sound of this computer if you don't mind, Lonzo, because I've actually got a clip. I forgot to put it on the roster. Here's what it sounded like. Oh, stop it. I got it. We're done. Here's what it sounded like on the broadcast last night when this taunting call was made.
Wow is right. I don't know, because the punter was running out, whether the official thought, but he wasn't even looking at the punter. He was looking at the sideline. He wasn't looking at the punter. He wasn't talking to the punter. I mean, I understand the respect of the game. Like, he's looking at the bench. He just can't. And he's not talking to the punter there. No, he's definitely not. Nope. Oh, my goodness.
So that's what it sounded like last night on Monday Night Football from the MNF crew. Not thrilled about it. Marsh, after the play was over, after the sack, he was the one who got the sack. Marsh stood up and I'll give him this. I mean, I hate to say I understand why the flag was called, even if I disagreed with why the flag was called. Marsh stood up after the sack and was facing the Steelers sideline. He took about 7 steps toward it, did not appear to be saying anything, was just kind of glancing in their direction. No gestures, no arm movement, had his arms by his side, took about 7 steps towards the Steelers sideline before he took a couple of hops back and turned around and started making his way back to the Bears sideline.
You're right. How is that taunting when someone's coming towards you, just looking at you? I mean, that's not taunting. Now if someone like that, where if you were in a dark alley and they came towards you like that, you wouldn't feel taunted at all. You just feel like they're just going to walk by. The whole point of the rule is to get them to stop doing this stuff. And I don't understand why there's a problem. Taunting is going to be up to the referee to decide what is taunting and what isn't, which means it's going to be subjective. Sometimes you're going to agree, sometimes you're going to disagree. But you know what? Why do you do it? Why you got? You don't need to stand over someone. You don't need to walk towards the sidelines. Just shut up and go back to the. I mean, come on. You are hurt. If you stop.
For the record, I don't disagree with what
you can't. You can't even go. To do it, but
I do not disagree with you in the least. I genuinely don't. I think you are looking at a case where I understand why that call was made. I get why that call was made. But you can't make that call in that spot, right? Like, that's a tough spot. So instead of punting, the Steelers drew a first down with the penalty. The Bears stopped them 3 plays later, but the Steelers were able to extend their lead to 26-60 with a field goal with 2:52 remaining. Justin Fields appeared to secure his first signature NFL moment as the rookie took a 75-yard drive capped by a go-ahead touchdown to Darnell Mooney with $1:46 remaining, but there was too much time on the clock. Pittsburgh responded with a go-ahead field goal drive, a 65-yard field goal attempt by Cairo Santos on Chicago's ensuing position came up short. Time expired and it was over. But that was not the only issue from the night. Chicago's would-be first touchdown was wiped off the board by a low block call on the third quarter that, after in-depth analysis by the Monday Night Football crew, they couldn't find it anywhere. It was a phantom call in the third quarter. Instead of cutting Pittsburgh's lead to 14-10 on a Fields touchdown pass to Jimmy Graham with 9:14 left in the quarter, the Bears ended up settling for a field goal that made it 14-6. Officials also declined to throw flags on a pair of hits on Justin Fields that not just could have, but should have, and over the past few weeks in the NFL have been called personal fouls. In fact, after the game, Justin Fields had a quote, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, "You gave Roethlisberger those calls. I don't understand why you wouldn't give them to me." But the point that absolutely made me the most infuriated, Lonzo, and I'm going to share this on the stream for those of you watching. Go to the Facebook stream at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show, or twitter.com/Lonzo one word. Was this moment the same Cassius Marsh? This is late in the game. Marsh is leaving the field after a defensive play. And I want you to keep an eye on the head official on the right of Cassius Marsh. And I want you to keep an eye on the body of Marsh as he runs by the official, Lonzo, and tell me what you see. So Marsh is leaving the field. There's the referee.
No, he's already
There
reaching.
is contact made between Cassius Marsh and the official, and the official throws a 15-yard flag. Break this body contact down for me, Lonzo, and tell me what you see there.
I see someone trying to get around someone and accidentally touching them. But you know what the rule is?
No, he's already. Watch this again.
You want to know what I see?
No, he's already reaching.
I want you to watch the hips of the official.
No, he's already.
And I want you to watch Cassius Marsh as he's running down the line.
Watch this again.
What I'm seeing is Marsh running directly down the line. All right, he takes a step. That right step right there, that right foot is on the white line. The left foot, you can actually see him angle his left foot away from. And yes, I'm going through this for a reason. You can see him angle his left foot. His left toe is pointing away from the official, which indicates he's trying to get around the official. And then I want you to watch the hips of the official. Lonzo, you could easily convince me, as some people on Twitter have, that the official actually backs up into Cassius.
Watch this again. No, he's already. Watch this again. No, he's already. Watch this again. No, he's. Watch this again. Watch this again. No, he's. Watch this again. No, he's already reaching. Watch this again.
Look at them move backwards into Marsh before he is pushed forward.
Watch this again.
I think the official is moving his left hand, or excuse me, moving the right side of his body, including his rear end, into Cassius Marsh. Now, keep in mind, Marsh at this point has already had a confrontation with the officials.
Watch this again.
I absolutely believe that the official takes a step into Cassius Marsh here. And then throws the flag on him for contact with the official.
I believe the prosecutor is reaching, so I object.
No, I think the only reaching is the official here.
No.
Look at his hips right at the point of contact, all right? Look at where he's standing. Yes, we are going through full body.
Again. No, he's already again.
I don't like it.
No, he's already reaching. Again. No, he's already reaching. Again.
Wow. Lonzo, common sense tells me that if I'm trying to avoid contact from an NFL linebacker,
he's already reaching.
My right and left shoulder are both moving away from him.
No, he's already reaching. Again.
Cassius Marsh there.
There is no way. There is no way. Hey, who knows? Maybe it was flirtation. I don't know.
He's already
it's not for me to judge.
Come to the Facebook stream, facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. I'll run this again during the break, but I want you to tell me that official was not jumping backwards into Cassius Marsh. Maybe not jumping, but absolutely moving backwards into Marsh. There's no way to convince me he wasn't. No way to convince me that he wasn't. Texter says that official needs to be more careful. He might lose a groin. Texter says back into the left. He absolutely looks like he was jumping in. Absolutely was. It's the whole situation. That whole situation was a joke. that hosted the officiating in that game was a group of officials that were inserting themselves into the game, emphasizing themselves in the game, making them a part of the game.
Okay.
And I'm not the only one that feels that way. There are a ton of people, including some NFL staff, that are saying that the official hip checked him, including Cassius Marsh. He said, quote, I think that one was bad timing. It was pretty clear to everybody that I wasn't taunting as he ran off the field. Marsh told reporters after the game he believes that the official, quote, intentionally hip checked him, end quote, and that a player would have been ejected for initiating similar contact. He said, quote, I think that was incredibly inappropriate, end quote, and I 100% agree.
All right, a caller is saying that you're making it sound like these are two separate flags, but this is the flag for the taunting.
Yeah, but the second flag came out after the contact. Now, the official might say that it was the same call, but again, I just played that clip for you. Marsh is running past the official. He takes a step to the left. The official backs into the contact, and immediately after the contact is made, the official's head turns to the left, looks at Marsh, and he goes straight to the flag and throws it. Same play, different result, different reason for that flag. Now, he might have, that official might have real-life retconned why he threw the flag, but I'll play that clip again on the stream if you want to come look at it. That official leaned into the contact from Cassius Marsh and then threw the flag as he looked at Marsh after the contact. That flag was not already on the ground.
So if let's go to a hypothetical. So if you are running and you're looking somewhere else as a player and you run into the referee, is it a flag? Yes.
No, the
yes.
official, if it's in play, the official's part
No,
of
that's
the
not what I'm
play.
talking about. I'm talking about afterwards. You're not allowed to touch the official.
Correct.
Whether you do.
There's the contact. He immediately throws the flag. That was because
he got kneed right. The referee.
If that official wanted to avoid contact, take a step forward. Why did you step backwards? He absolutely stepped backwards. You cannot argue he didn't step backwards. He did. If you're trying to avoid that contact with a player who's not looking at you, quote unquote, then why are you stepping backwards into where he's going?
All right, Rob. How do we solve this? Should that referee? No way.
Absolutely. And if only because of the quote they just showed afterward when he said, oh, the flag had nothing to do with the contact. Really? Then why was it in your belt after the call was made? Why was it in your belt until the contact was made? You kept death glaring at him as he walked away and threw the flag after the contact. If that call was for taunting, why was it not when he was facing the bench taunting and not after the contact? That referee, I don't say this about people often, Lonzo. That referee's lying. That is a bold-faced lie. Now, I don't call people liars when something they have said contradicts the facts, Lonzo, because a liar is someone who knows the facts and expresses something different intentionally and maliciously. That referee's a liar. That flag didn't come out for taunting. That flag came out because they made contact and he wasn't happy about it, but then realized that he was the initiator of the contact, not the player, and had to retcon something on the fly. That's what he came up with. You won't convince me otherwise.
I for some reason I missed the fact where Marsh did the roundhouse kick after making a sack. That's just it's a little excessive.
I agree. That referee was very excessive. I completely concur.
Yeah, you can't put those words into my mouth. And again, I think you're reaching, and I think you've had an obvious vendetta against referees since the whole New Orleans thing. And I get it. I get it. So now the referee, it would appear that now. of any kind, and you're looking for a reason to go at them. And I don't know if there's therapy out there, a 10-step program. I don't know.
15 years, I've never insinuated, had someone insinuate that I needed therapy.
You know,
I mean, you're not wrong. It's just rude. All right.
We've got everything else in the office. We might have some room for a couch.
What did Falcon America say? He's not wrong. He's out of line, but he's not wrong.
Yeah. there just seems to be a.
That was hot garbage. Hot garbage. And also, I'm going to have to get a new mic flag after this segment. All right. 844-477-3776. Texter says, Rob, you are wrong. There was, Gary on Facebook. Facebook says, you are wrong. There was no flag for running into the referee, just taunting. Go back and watch when that flag is thrown. That flag is in the pocket of the official. The contact is made. He turns his head toward the player after the contact and throws the flag. Yes, I agree. He threw the flag and said it was for taunting. I agree with you, Gary. He said it was for taunting. But he threw that flag because of the contact, then realized what happened and had to retcon something. So he came up with taunting. I 100% agree. ESPN, Lonzo, don't you get it? Rob hates the Steelers. Pittsburgh Tony, you know I love you, dog. You know I love you. You've been P1 since I got here, homie. I got nothing against the Steelers. Everything. You think let me be abundantly clear here, Tony. Nothing to do with the Steelers. In fact, of those two teams, I hate the Chicago Bears. If you want to know the truth, let me pull back the curtain. I've hated the Bears since after Katrina in the 06 NFC Championship game, when Reggie Bush and the boys had to go to Chicago for that game, and the Bears fans were holding up signs that said, hey, Saints, welcome to Chicago. Enjoy the swim back home, while New Orleans was still dealing with Katrina fallout. I hate the Chicago Bears only behind the Atlanta Falcons. Okay? I am happy when the Bears lose a game. But the integrity of the game matters to me. Let's take a break before Lonzo hurts himself laughing. I'm Rob. He's the great one. This is ESPN Upstate. Steven says, cue the Skynet commercial.
Because of a right shoulder issue, and that shoulder continues to be a problem. Reportedly, he went in for an MRI yesterday after reporting soreness.
Not sure if I overstepped or not in my joke, but if I did, here's how we'll know. Rob will come back in and start talking wrestling.
Brian Burns going in for an MRI of his ankle, and they are waiting to get more information on Camp Irving's calf issue. The Panthers are going to match up against the Cardinals on Sunday. You can hear it on Classic Rock 101.1. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
ESPN Upstate is your home for Thurman Paladins football. The Paladins try to get back in the win column at home against the VMI Keydets this Saturday. Pre-game at 12:30, kickoff at 2. Every play, every game. On ESPN Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, and on the Odyssey app.
Joint pain relief doesn't have to mean drugs and surgery. Now there's a better alternative that patients are raving about. John Boy Billy here for our friends at QC Kinetics, local medical professionals that use natural biologic treatments. Highly concentrated healing properties from your own body put directly into the affected joint, restoring and repairing damaged tissue the way your body was designed to heal. If you're tired of the Band-Aid solutions like drugs and steroids and you really want to avoid surgery, you need to check out QC Kinetics. Regenerative, restorative, natural treatments for knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain, pain in your hips. Don't continue to suffer and don't go in for surgery until you check this out. See if you're a candidate. QC Kinetics. Call 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772. No surgical pain relief with lasting results. 864-448-3772.
The warmth of the fire, the glow of the lights. The holidays are almost here. Unless you're at Lowe's, with the season's already started.
So we're going to come back and then go to break again real quick? Yeah. Or, all right.
We'll just do a quick in and out here.
Also, Brown has been named the starter for the Gamecocks this week.
I mean, how do you not, right?
Zeb Nolan will be available, though. Rob Brown Show, what do you want to talk about? All right, hang on.
Kobe, nothing but net.
Did you know the arrow on Amazon's logo represents A to Z? Maybe the My Computer Career logo should represent unemployed to employed. Ryan was out of work when he started classes in March. In September, he started his IT career.
Excuse me.
Making more money than he ever thought possible.
Here's a prime opportunity. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free
evaluation today. You could start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
5G is here. Carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide, with plans starting at just $35 a month with no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A30 5G for only $299, all on America's best network. 5G coverage, 5G phone, best month, Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required, actual availability, coverage, and speed.
So dramatic, Lonzo. So absolutely dramatic.
It was by request. I don't normally do requests, but you know.
So dramatic. Jimmy wants to talk Panthers. We got Joe Giglio of BetQL coming up in the next segment, so let's get some Panther talk in here. Jimmy, welcome in, big fella. Good to have you, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man.
Top of the Carolina Panthers, Sam Darnold was pathetic. You had pressure on him when he tried to get out of the pocket and find somebody open. But then, throw the ball higher than the defensive lineman. Don't throw it right in their hands. I mean, bring P.J. Walker in, I think, before the second interception. It was obvious that another thing is he was questionable for a shoulder injury. Now they're saying that his shoulder is sore, so probably should not have brought him back so soon. So I say bring back Cam Newton, man.
Can't. You can't. Cam's got no interest in being there after what happened. The team does not look. I always kind of make the joke that the salary cap's not real, right? Like the salary cap's not real because a great GM can always find ways to spread out the money. But the Panthers just don't have the money for it. I mean, Cam Newton is even though he's not going to command a Tom Brady contract, the amount of money he would want to come back to a Charlotte-based program that he feels abandoned him a number of months ago is going to be astronomical. You're better off right now looking to find out which of a very mediocre quarterback class next year do you want to trade up and take the gamble for. The bad news for you is Sam Darnold's trade value is plummeting as well. So it's not even like you're going to be able to swap him out for another project somewhere else in the league. It's a bad situation for the Panthers with that position.
Well, let's put it this way. I don't think Cam has any other prospects. He took us to the Super Bowl. He deserves a little chance. I admit he was a head case. The reason he wasn't playing well, plus he had some injuries from taking too many hits, running the ball. His throwing fundamentals weren't good. But, hey, I mean, I don't think that he's going to ask for a whole lot of money. He'll be lucky that anybody picks him up. And what do you have to lose? I mean, the way the Panthers are playing right now, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, and I appreciate the phone call, Jimmy. Thanks for checking in as always, buddy. Great to have you. If you're Cam Newton, you have one thing going for you, which is somebody's going to lose quarterback at some point, and they're going to be desperate, and they're going to need him, right? He can afford another couple of weeks of waiting.
Right. If Adrian Peterson can get the call up, then
it's just a matter of time. I'll tell you right now, I said it, and again, it was not entirely on him because the Saints pulled a Panthers last weekend against the Falcons and had like 3 or 4 drop balls that coulda, shoulda, would have been big gains. But tell me right now, for instance, Jameis Winston, Lonzo, what do you have, 18 touchdowns and 3 interceptions through 8 weeks? Much better than anybody anticipated. If Sean Payton called Cam Newton right now and said, we want to plug you into Jameis' spot and you just got to come take over the offense, you don't think Cam takes that call before he takes Carolinas?
Oh, absolutely he does.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not, if you are waiting on Cam, if you're waiting on Cam to come back to Charlotte, you're going to be waiting a minute. All right. You're going to be waiting a minute. All right. Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a moment, Joe Giglio, BetQL Insider, host of BetQL Daily, which you can hear on the Odyssey Network, joins us. We'll look at some of the college football lines for the weekend upcoming. That's next on the Rob Brown Show. That's next on ESPN Upstate.
Couches are flying off the floor at Cheyenne's Furniture Store. She needs more sales associates before shoppers take their seats.
Are you getting me the number?
Oh, yeah. I guess I should do that. That would help you, wouldn't it?
So a friend told me about Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, and his exact words were, "It changed my life. I used to spend a ridiculous amount of time trying to remove tomato sauce from inside our microwave and soap scum off the bathtub. It's like seriously magic, and my secret weapon for cleaning the kitchen, bathroom, floors, and walls, and even keeping my sneakers clean. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, greatest invention ever. Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, the unicorn of cleaning.
Running a small business means just that, always running.
Woo, you're not kidding.
Which is why this holiday, while the other guys, not mentioning any names, are kicking it back, we'll be kicking it in gear by leaving our doors open for you. So whatever the ing you need this holiday, whether it's packing, shipping, or mailboxing, we'll be right here waiting.
Now that's an ing worth celebrating.
The UPS store, every ing for...
Hi, speak to Joe, please. Hey, this is Lonzo, ESPN Upstate. I'm doing good. How are you? Good. All right, we got about a minute. Hang on.
If your family depends on your income and something happened to you, what would happen to them? You need life insurance, and SelectQuote can help you get it at a price you can afford.
SelectQuote found Jacob, 40, who's in excellent health, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month.
Not in perfect health? Don't worry.
SelectQuote found Tanya, 40, who has type 2 diabetes, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $32 a month.
We shop companies like Protective, Prudential, American General, and others to find you the company with the best rates.
Give your family the security they need at a price you can afford. For your free quote, call 1-800-507-2266. That's 1-800-507-2266. Or go to selectquote.com. That's 1-800-507-2266. Select Quote. We shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policies at selectquote.com/commercials. Your premium could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Showing the Rob Brown Lockdown on Twitter. Tweet at The Rob Brown
To the phone lines we go, ladies and gentlemen, as we do every Tuesday at 1:30-ish. And welcome in a BetQL insider. He is the host of BetQL Daily. You can find all their content at BetQL.com and, of course, listen to their podcast on the Odyssey Podcast Network. He is Mr. Joe Giglio, joins us right here on the show. Joe, welcome in, big dog. Great to have you again, man. Appreciate it.
Happy to be here with you. What's going on today?
Oh man, just living the dream, buddy. It's a great time to be a sports fan. We got college basketball taken to the hardwood for night number 1 this evening, and you know, futures are always interesting to me. I had a buddy of mine that told me last week, Joe, that he had a free drinking night because he said, I always go and I put like $5-10 down on the futures of my teams, no matter what they are. And so he put $10 on the Braves, which were some astronomical number to win the World Series preseason. As far as college basketball goes, with probably America's favorite but most tumultuous postseason in all of sports, any futures that you like in college basketball with the season getting underway tonight?
Yeah, one that I really like. UCLA is an interesting team this year, and I would look to put something on them at 14-1. Purdue is a team I like a lot. Love their coach. I think they're poised for a big year in the Big Ten. I think they're at 13-1, but that's moved down. I mean, the value on that was probably a couple months ago, and now word's getting out that Purdue can be a really good team. But the team I have my eye on is Villanova. You know, Jay Wright's a great coach, and last year, weird season in a lot of ways. They lost their point guard, and because of the college rules right now, he was granted an extra year of eligibility. Would not have happened before COVID hit. So they get a really experienced point guard who they lost last year. You put him back, they should dominate the Big East. And we know what Villanova could do with their good guard play and in the month of March. So I think Villanova at 14-1 is a really good bet. And I won't be surprised if they're in the Final Four.
Love to hear it. Joe Giglio of BetQL joins us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Joe, weird week last week in the National Football League. I think we had like 6 underdog games hit in the first window. It was just kind of one of those wacky, wild, off weeks. When we have a week like that, does it change the way you approach the next week, or do you just kind of have to write it off as a weird week and move on?
Yeah, I try not to, and I think you could actually get yourself in trouble if you try to chase. You know, it's almost like you're flipping a coin, right? And you keep flipping it over and it keeps going heads and you just keep betting the tails of the next one. It doesn't really work that way. Over time, it will absolutely even out. But to just assume the next week is the even out week, I think you get yourself in trouble. So, like, I think you just got to look at each game individually, each week individually. Obviously, some trends, some individual teams or players, that kind of stuff can roll from one week to the next. But I think in general, you know, when we say like, oh, wow, all the underdogs hit last week, this is going to be a week for the favorites. I think you get yourself in some trouble doing that. So I don't really think week to week it matters that much. But at the end of the season, if you're looking big picture with trends, it generally will kind of even itself out.
Talking to Joe Giglio, BetQL Insider, host of BetQL Daily on the BetQL Network, BetQL.com, and the podcast available on the Odyssey Podcasting Network at Odyssey.com. Joe, it's been a really interesting year for quarterbacks. We've got Patrick Mahomes, who has the Chiefs lead the league in turnovers. You've had some projects like Sam Darnold that have not worked out, et-cetera. When you're approaching over-unders, especially prop bets with different players at the quarterback position, if that is something that you like to play towards, what kind of trends can you pick up amongst quarterbacks that maybe let you know that maybe certain overs and unders are more likely to hit?
Yeah, I think generally, and this is where, you know, if you really want to dive in and kind of be on the right side of these, you can kind of follow along the trends for different teams, maybe some quotes from coaches, injuries. I think game script is a big way. So I'll just give you an example. Jalen Hurts with the Eagles. He's had an interesting year. I actually think he's got a good future in the NFL. But, I think generously maybe we say he's been the 20th, 22nd best quarterback in the league this year. Some ups and downs. Rob, you watch his season this year. Early on in the season, the Eagles running a ton of RPOs. They were going up against great quarterbacks and basically getting themselves in shootouts. Not great for their chances to win. Certainly great for Jalen Hurts' chances to go over his passing totals. He was over 300 yards. He was throwing for a lot of attempts. And lately, I think they've realized, okay, the best way to try to compete and win as he progressed as a passer, use his legs more, use our running game more, use play action more. So Jalen Hurts the last couple of weeks, he hasn't thrown for 200 yards either week. He's running for more yards. He's becoming a guy that's, touching near 100 yards rushing. So you kind of follow the trajectory of the Eagles. Jalen Hurts under passing yards over rushing yards is becoming the way to play things. Early in the season, it was mostly over passing yards, his under rushing yards. So kind of just watching how these teams evolve, especially at the quarterback position, I think, and who they're playing, I think gives you an edge in taking those.
Joe Giglio joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate, looking across, of course, the NFL landscape as we are rapidly approaching the halfway point of the season. Give me some of the teams that you think have been hot. If folks are like like me, who've caught a cold streak the last 2 weeks, Joe, and are looking to kind of climb out of the slump, what are some of the lines that have been paying off for you lately?
Yeah, well, backing the Patriots has been a winner for me lately. I took them 2 weeks in a row to beat the Chargers and then to cover that number last week against the Panthers. They're going in the right direction. This week is a tough one for them and a pretty even game against Cleveland. But just generally speaking, the Patriots feel like they're heading in the right direction here as Belichick's got his defense playing well, really good on the corner position, and Mac Jones is settling in at quarterback. This feels like a Bill Belichick team. This feels like an old school early Patriots. I'm not trying to say they're going to go win a Super Bowl, but it just feels like that kind of team, the team that I think Belichick likes to coach and wants to coach. So I feel good about the Patriots moving forward. And then, as you look at the rest of the league, the AFC West, I think they're all at 5 wins right now. And it's interesting to note that how they've gotten there. I actually think for as good as that division is, right, because no one's bad in that division, all teams have 5 wins. I think they've actually been boosted up by playing who they've played. Now, that division is playing the NFC East. So you look forward, when those out-of-conference games have run out, I think we're going to start fading the AFC West. At least I am. I don't think those teams are really that good. The Chargers are pretty good, probably a playoff team. Chiefs have been unimpressive. The Raiders could be due for a fall. They just lost the Giants last week. And the Broncos, really impressive win last week against Dallas. But generally, I think they're more a mediocre team. So I think the general thought is like, wow, look at the AFC West. They all have 5 wins. Maybe all 4 will go to the playoffs. I would start fading them. They're going to start playing each other, and they're going to run out of games against the Eagles, Washington, and the Giants where they get basically easy wins.
All right, let's flip it on around to college football. The Gamecocks of South Carolina right here in our backyard. Joe, kind of an interesting case study. They really look like a team that just didn't have chemistry. Then they turn around and they have a game where they blow Florida and out of the water. And I think Florida was a little bit overrated this year. I think they got a little cocky after the Alabama game. South Carolina was I think a 19.5 point underdog. They end up winning that game by a couple of touchdowns. And, I've had a lot of Carolina fans around here that have told me, on the road at Mizzou, they're 3.5 point dogs. And I absolutely agree that I'm hammering South Carolina as a 3.5 point dog on the road. But when a team seems to have a flip like South Carolina did, as a gambler, as a bettor, does that are you quick to pull the trigger on them, favoring them in some lines moving forward, or do you want to see it a couple weeks before you start committing money to it?
Yeah, I think the trends are important, and you can pick up on 1 or 2 that maybe you feel strong about. You could jump on it. Look, I think South Carolina's won 4 games against the spread this year, and they haven't covered 4 times. So it's been up and down, right? A little bit, once in a while they'll give you one. And I look at them moving forward here. It's a weird season they're having. You just mentioned kind of the ups and the downs of it. I don't love this Missouri team, though, and I certainly think this week they have a chance to go win that game. Missouri's not a program you're like, oh, no, go into Missouri. There's some place in college football where you just don't want to play that team in a certain venue. Missouri's not one of those teams. I think South Carolina is certainly live to win this week.
Love it. Joe Giglio of BetQL is a BetQL insider, hosts BetQL Daily on the BetQL Podcast Network, which you can find on the Odyssey Podcast Network or at BetQL.com. All right, Joe, give me some tips going into this weekend. What do you like?
Yeah, I like a couple of NFL games a lot this weekend. You know, Baltimore on the road on Thursday night against Miami, only a 7.5-point number. Rob, I think that's going to climb to 8 or 9 by kickoff, and we'll find out if Tua is going to play or it'll be Jacoby Brissett. It doesn't really matter to me. I don't think it's much of a downgrade from Tua to Brissett, maybe a point or so. I like Baltimore. I mean, the last 3 times they played Miami, they've just completely smashed them. Lamar Jackson is playing like an MVP candidate, and Baltimore is going to take care of business. So I love Baltimore minus 7.5. And the game that I just think is fascinating from a line perspective, and I think for your listeners, just kind of watch it, and beauty is in the eye of the beholder here, depending on which team you like and where you want to go. So we now know that Russell Wilson is back. He's cleared with his finger injury. He's going to be back. The line in that game, Seahawks at Packers on Sunday, is about 3.5 or 4 in the moment. It was about 5.5 yesterday. So Russell Wilson is back, and it feels like the bookmakers have kind of hedged both ways here, giving us a number kind of in the middle just in case we do get Wilson against Rodgers, but we also could get Wilson against Jordan Love on Sunday. If Rodgers is coming back, that Packers number is going up significantly. So get the Packers now if you kind of think or feel like, you know what, Rodgers is probably going to play. And if he doesn't, you're getting 4 points, 3.5 points right now with Russell Wilson potentially against Jordan Love. So if you're on the Seahawks, you know, you could wait for the points, but that's against Rodgers. If you grab it now, you know you'll at least have that before you know the quarterback situation. That's just a fascinating line movement this week with both quarterbacks, injury / COVID, kind of up in the air.
Love it. Joe Giglio is an insider from BetQL. He is the host of BetQL Daily. You can hear that on the Odyssey Podcast Network. Go to BetQL.com. Joe, my man, always a pleasure to talk to you, buddy. Appreciate the good stuff. We will talk to you next Tuesday, amigo.
Sounds great.
Looking forward to it. That's Joe Giglio of BetQL. Let's take a break. We'll come back, wrap up hour number 2 next on The Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
By Wednesday, sunshine high 75. And Thursday, a chance for rain showers, cloudy high 65. Meteorologist Jennifer Chinsky. And upstate, currently at 75.
Here from Westwood One with a preview of Thursday night football. Action this week between the Ravens and the Dolphins. Coming off an overtime win against the Vikings, Miami feeling well, having just broken its 7-game losing streak.
Ross Tucker joins me for the Ravens and the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football. Thursday night at 8. The NFL plays here on ESPN Upstate.
There's nothing worse than coming home from a cold day to find out that your heater isn't working. When this happens, you need an HVAC company.
He knows Steven, I told him. And not only can he watch it, he can watch it in IMAX format.
Oh, is it drop on Disney Plus this weekend?
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. And I think it's the 12th.
We'll watch it.
It's the 12th or the 14th. It could be the 14th.
Okay. Sunday's a weird day because the Panthers game is the 4:00 game, so my remote's at 2:00. Kind of tanks my Sunday, but that's okay because I'm getting paid to talk about football, so I'm not going to complain.
I've been meaning to come by. This might be a week where I might do that.
Come on.
I'm just going to sit in the corner and stare at you
No,
and
I'm
eat
putting a
wings the
headset on
entire
you.
time. No, man, I
Not
just
an
come
option.
to watch.
I come to watch.
I know that porch. I know where the corners are. I know where I can sit. Of course, the vast crowd that's out there to see you, you won't even notice me because I can blend. Could go there for that, enjoy that, and pick up some of my favorite pizza that's around the corner to take home on my way home. It's the only place in South Carolina that I'm aware of that has a Donato's, which is my favorite pizza from Ohio. Yes. When I talked about it on the air like a couple of years ago when they first came on there and mentioned it on Twitter, and they retweeted my tweet, which is always fun. And then I don't know. See, I don't know what you like.
I mean, I'm a meat pizza guy, but at the end of the day, I want their best pizza. Like, if I got one pie from there, what am I getting? First off, it's not deep dish, is it?
No. No.
Deep dish pizza's trash.
They have several different kinds, including they also have, if I recall, cauliflower crust if you want it. Yeah. Cauliflower crust is not bad, depending on who makes it. Just go everything. I mean, but it's the kind where the toppings there's this like toppings.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
I want you to load me up. I want you to make me regret my life decisions after I'm done.
It's I think it's our favorite because of sauce. I haven't been back to Ohio in a while, but Lisa's been twice, and both times she makes sure she FaceTimes me from Donato's just to let me know she's enjoying a wonderful pizza, even though I can't be there. And I don't blame her.
One. Dang it. In fairness, you had a two-hitter last week, so
I did, and all things considered, I mean, what's the max we've went? Maybe 4?
I don't think we've gotten to 4. I think there's been 1 week at 3.
Okay, that's not bad. Now,
for those of you that
I'm
wonder
jinxing it.
why it is that Lonzo and I sometimes open the segment by just shouting a number, the reason why is because we both turn our own microphones on and off. And traditionally, when we're not talking, we cut the mic off, so there's not any background noise, etc. Well, Lonzo and I started keeping track of the number of times that one of us will start speaking before remembering to turn their microphone on and keeping score of that. And if we yell a number to start the segment, that means that we forgot to turn the mic on before we started. Lonzo last week did it, coiled back in frustration, and then started talking again without turning his microphone on again. So he got the 2-hitter, which I believe is the only time that's happened. I think you lost 2-1 last week. I think I lost 2-1 the week before that. You are now up on it's like golf. You keep the lower score, but I'm losing 1-0 here.
Well, and
because we're professionals, ladies and gentlemen.
It makes it more difficult because if you are online and you're watching on the stream, then you know that we talk on a Facebook Live feed. And when we do that, our microphones are not turned on.
Correct.
And because of that, we're just so used to talking into the mic. And I think that's added to the fact that sometimes we don't turn it on.
We told you earlier in the show about the showdown between Nikola Jokic and Miami Heat forward Markieff Morris in last night's Denver-Miami matchup. Texter said, God, that was the best thing I've seen from an NBA game since the Detroit Bad Boys. Another texter said, Jokic did exactly what was just done to him. Good for him. Just Jokic is a lot bigger. Yeah, I don't know that I'd be body checking a 7 foot 1 inch tall Serbian dude like that, but that's just me. Markieff Morris, excuse me. His twin brother chimed in on Twitter on a tweet with an emoji of a pen in hand and tweeted, "Waited till bro turned his back, SMH, all caps, noted," end of tweet, with the pen and note emoji. I got to tell you, there's not much more that aggravates me in the world than a cheap shot artist who complains about getting hit back. You know what I mean?
And you know, the way he did the cheap shot, he turned around real quick.
Oh, yeah.
So the cheap shot got cowardness. And it's not the case in this. He did the cheap shot. He turned around real quick. He got what he needed to get.
Yeah. If you cheap shot a dude, please don't be surprised when you take a left hook to the back of the dome. All right. If you cheap shot somebody, and is anybody arguing that what Markieff Morris did was not a cheap shot? Anybody? No? Crickets? Okay, good. That's what I thought, because it absolutely was. It absolutely was. It was dirty. It was low down. And Nikola Jokic gave it back. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of people freaking out about it today and upset about Nikola Jokic getting suspended probably for 2 games would be my guess. There are some people said they think it could be as long as 5. I think 2 games is probably coming down the pipe for Jokic, but I think 2 games is coming down for Morris as well. You can't have it. That being said, he's going to get suspended the same way that the guy who hits the bully in the face gets suspended by the principal, who's like, "Hey, you can't do that. Wink, wink. Definitely don't stand up for yourself courageously against the bully. Nudge, nudge. And oh, by the way, for no specified reason at all, you get extra recess next week." And then Pops picks the kids up and he's like, "You got suspended for hitting a bully, huh? You know you don't solve problems with your fist, right, Junior? Now, what do you say we hit the pizza joint on the way home for lunch?" How do you feel about that? What Jokic did is the kind of stuff life lesson I've learned, Lonzo. I don't love it, dude. I've never been in a fist fight in my life. I heard getting punched in the face hurts. I'm not trying to find out.
I can tell you from experience, it is not pleasant.
Yeah.
To get hit in the face.
Yeah.
You know, what's even worse is getting hit in the face when you have braces.
Yeah, no thank you. No thank you, okay? No thank you.
It's like a grinder up in there.
A blender. I have avoided it, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. There are some people in the world, Lonzo, you know this. You're from Ohio. There are some people in the world who only understand getting hit back, right? There are some people in the world who only understand getting hit back. They only understand what they did was wrong, not because they have the decency of being a human being to feel, shame, guilt, regret. I'm not saying everybody's perfect. We all do things that we look back and we go, "Oh man, I feel bad about that. Shouldn't have done that. That was a jerk move." Some people don't have that capacity. And the only thing that they respond is getting hit back by somebody bigger and badder than they are. There's always a bigger fish.
Yeah, there's some countries like that too. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And there's a thing that wells up in you as a dude, and sometimes you don't hold it back. And Jokic could have done worse. He absolutely could have done worse. And the message was sent. Now, what kind of, if it's baseball, we know what the retaliation is. We know someone's getting thrown at their head. Is there going to be retaliation towards Jokic? And do you want any of that?
Who's going to retaliate?
Do the Morris brothers want any of that? Because I don't think they do.
You don't want that smoke from Jokic. Because Nikola Jokic isn't just a big dude with a bad drop step and a rebound number. He is a stout SOB.
I would say, other than the fight game, basketball is the most full of machismo as far as, people going at each other and that kind of stuff. And I'm bigger, badder than you type of thing. So do they lose points if they don't do something back? And I think it's a mistake.
Lose cred.
Yeah.
One. Yes! 1-1 in the same segment. They lose cred. I get it, but you got to think if you're Markieff Morris with the absolute shoulder check that you just took from an NHL bruiser, you got to think you just let that one be, right? Just let that one be if you're smart. Texter says, ESPN, Rob, can you either confirm or deny that you are dodging playing Diesel in golf, as he said yesterday on that other show? I need to know exactly what he said, because the level at which I call out Diesel is going to be 100% dependent on what was actually said by Diesel.
Yeah, because, listeners will kind of color things a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, I'll have to go pull the audio to hear what he said. All right, because Diesel texted me Sunday and said, I just shot sub 90. I have shot sub 90 once in like 5 years, and I've been playing since I was like 16.
Think of how much he improved in bowling.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But Diesel also played a rule where if I can see my ball underneath the trees, I don't have to take a 1-drop penalty. I do take my penalties. We'll see. I'll talk to him. 1 hour left of the Rob Brown Show, ESPN Upstate.
Presents your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update powered by The Score. It's the first day of the college basketball season for Clemson. They are going to be in action this evening as they host Presbyterian. The Clemson will play tomorrow in South Carolina Upstate. The South Carolina men's basketball team, they are set to begin their...
Going to say, don't make me Jokic you, computer, because I'll do it.
Furman basketball, they open up their season this evening on North Greenville. Of course, you can hear all the action of Furman basketball right here. While Wofford, they also open up their season tonight. They are matched up against Bob Jones University. Load the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts, so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. For ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
Put him in a boxing match right now. Jokic v. Morris. Who you got?
Jokic? Now, if it's MMA, though, I don't know. I think it changes a little bit. Because you can kick, you can do a few other things, but... Cool. Better be better than the Boba Fett trailer.
Down than I would be playing I am now. Great answer. I'm ready to run through a wall. Yeah. Great answer. Hey, Greenville, Spartanburg. That's the Rob Brown Show. Weekdays noon to 3 on ESPN Upstate.
I'm Eagle here from Westwood One with a preview of Thursday night football. AFC action this week between the Ravens and the Dolphins. Baltimore is 6-2, coming off an overtime win against the Vikings. Miami feeling pretty good as well, having just broken a 7-game losing streak. Ross Tucker joins me for the Ravens and the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football. Thursday night at 8. The NFL plays here on ESPN Upstate.
Morning.
And check this out.
For an official Rob Brown lockdown. On ESPN.
Hey, why not keep this thing going? Markieff Morris tweeted, anytime I start a take with so-and-so tweeted with a deep breath between, it's going to be fire. Markieff Morris tweeted, Lonzo, quote, I love to see the hate. No doubt I took a hard foul, which I always do, but I've never hit a man with his back turned. Luckily, we built different over here. I can take my licks and keep pushing. Joker 1, Smooth 0, LOL. I appreciate a little humility there on the end by giving Joker the point on that
yeah,
one.
he gave him the point at the end. Not equivalent to being hit in the back because I think it kind of is, you know.
There's hard fouls, and then there's you just racking a dude. Markieff just racked a dude. That's all it was. He just racked Jokic. I'm gonna go right now, straight up. I'll give you Keith plus 250 in a straight fist fight against Jokic. You want to take it?
Now I'm going with Jokic because of reach. I mean, I'm guessing at least from height distance that the reach is going to be on Jokic's side, and also the weight and probably power of punch. I'm gonna go with Jokic there.
Speaking of plus 250, Diesel, who is apparently running smack at me via golf game because he allegedly had a sub 90 round with no one around to verify it.
See, saying allegedly, that's kind of saying that there's a possibility that he would be dishonest and inflate how well that he played at a game, and he would never do such a thing.
I caught a fish this big.
He kind of has some evidence of that. He's got his own show.
Did you get the point I'm making? He said it was a question by a listener, and he said 1,000% Rob is dodging me. Is your response, if you shoot a 90 and there was no one there to see it, did it really happen?
I think it comes down to is that he misses spending quality time with you, and you know because of machismo, he doesn't know how to say, "Hey, buddy, can we just go hang out?" He doesn't know how to say that, so instead he's calling you out and through sport just so he can spend some time with you.
If you want a bro date, just say you want a bro date. You know I'm there. I love Diesel. I love D-Train.
Hey, I'm gonna miss hanging out with Diesel on Thursdays.
Yeah, I love Diesel. Diesel, when I came up for my audition, after the first day I sat in, Diesel was like, "Hey man, you want to go grab a whiskey somewhere tonight? Talk it out." I'm like, yeah, man. I love Diesel. But as Lonzo has now seen, as Diesel has now seen, as Stoneman has now seen, and as a handful of listeners found out over the past 10 weeks, there is a little bit of a competitive streak in Rob that tends to come out, and it doesn't matter how much I like you. I played last time I was my nephew is 4. Lonzo, he's 4. Well, he turns 4 in 2 days. All right, so he's 4.
You gotta hold him up. I mean, you got to.
He's 4.
Yeah.
I was talking to him.
You gotta teach him.
Ooh.
You gotta teach him.
How old are you? No words. Just hold up the 4. So my nephew is 4, and I was video chatting with him and my little brother on Sunday, during the Saints game and during the Panthers game. And he said, "Uncle Rob, guess what I did yesterday?" And I said, "What?" And he said, "I played goofy golf," which is what we call miniature golf down in Florida. It's goofy golf. He said, "I played goofy golf." And I said, "Did you? How'd you do?" And he said, "I did real good. I got the ball in the snake's mouth." You know how they got the little snake and you hit the ball and you got to run it up a ramp and into and he won a little prize, a little like dinosaur with a golf club kind of thing. He said, "I got it in the snake's mouth." And I said, "Oh, Lou, that's awesome, man. Good job." And he goes, "Yeah, I'm really good at goofy golf. I could beat you." And Lonzo, I know I have a problem because my first response was, "Kid, I love you as if you were my own. And when I come home for Christmas break, I am going to demolish you. I am going to wipe the floor with you at Goofy Golf."
See, I gotta say, our time that we've spent bowling, I loved it more when you were there because that's the kind of competitiveness. That's me.
I'm not going to do is answer the call out with a call out. Except, number one, Diesel goes and plays golf at 1:30 on Sunday afternoons. Do you know what I'm busy doing at 1:30 on a Sunday afternoon?
NFL.
My job.
Yeah. Well, even if you weren't, it's the NFL, man. And Diesel is college football only. He's one of those guys that's not really into the NFL. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. You know, I can be into a lot of sports, but he's not into NFL. So, but the other good thing about that for him is all the people who are, they're not on the government. It makes him better able to get out there and play, I guess.
Texas says, Rob, great. A sports show with a bunch of dudes wanting a dude date with the D train. I mean, look.
It was the opposite. It was him wanting one with Rob.
Quick question. Oh, I don't care either way. Quick question. If I offered you the opportunity to take a day away from job and wife and whatever to go play golf and drink whiskey on a Sunday afternoon, are you telling me you would turn it down? No, of course you wouldn't. So why I call it a dude date and all of a sudden there's a problem. Okay, cool. Don't go on dude dates. More open tee times for me and Diesel to play. Now, second call out. Diesel has a philosophy on the golf course where if he hits his ball into the forest, where he's got to take his 20-foot ball retriever to pull it out because you can't get to the golf ball. His rule is...
Wait. He has to use a ball retriever? This is a dude who wears flannel and fishes.
Can't golf in flannel.
He's not good. No. I'm disappointed. Thought he was backward.
So, he sees his golf ball in the woods, 20 yards deep. His rule is if you can see the ball and you can get the ball, then it is not a one-stroke drop in order to put your ball back onto the playing surface. I count my drops. If I got to move the ball, it's a one-shot drop. All right? I'm just saying. So, if Diesel's going to make the call out, we'll go play, but we're going to go play and keep actual score. Like actual rules score. And we'll see how it works out.
If you keep talking about it, you're going to get a strongly worded email.
That's okay. I accept it. This is where that unhealthy competition comes in. Texter says, I think that last text as D-Train, everybody. Okay, never mind. I see where you're going, Texter. Stop going there. Yeah, I knew what he meant. I was just avoiding what he meant. That's all.
Yeah, you saying that's going to stop the texter from going there for sure.
Yeah, it's going to make it worse. All right, 844-477-3776, 844-GSP. ESPN's the number to be a part of the program. You can jump a phone call in here. Text us on the Ingles Market text line at 71307. Start your text with ESPN so we can read them on the air. I wanted to bring this up for a second because, you know, I get a lot of conversation. A lot of folks, when they find out what I do or have a conversation with me, they ask me some variation of, how much do you guys roll for or against local teams when you're on the air, and what is the reason for it? And there's a story that came out that I kind of think sheds a little bit of light on that. Now, every sports talk radio show host, play-by-play guy, color commenter, we're all different. We all have different philosophies on the job, right? Part of the reason I'm here is because Mark Ryan and I share very different philosophies about the way that we want to run our radio programs. And we want to give a little bit of something from me, a little something from Mark, a little something different for you guys, the listeners, our friends. Aw, friends. But this is why I'm always a little hesitant when it comes to folks who work, and this is not a indictment against anybody or any station in particular. But I always take things that are said about teams from people that are on flagship networks that have direct partnerships with schools or franchises, not with a grain of salt, but with the entire shaker of salt. Okay? Jordan Simone was the pregame host and sideline reporter for the Arizona State Sun Devil Radio Network. Jordan Simone went on a podcast where he was talking about the Sun Devils football program. He went on a podcast called Speak of the Devils. It's a good name. Good name. And he went on to discuss the current state of the Sun Devils football team and the job performance of Herm Edwards, the head coach. Arizona State has lost 2 games in a row, allowed a combined 69 points, nice, and is 3 for 2 on the season. Simone was asked about Herm Edwards' job performance, and he said, quote, "It ain't working. It was a good experiment. And you know what? No disrespect to any of those coaches as men and as people, because I've talked to a lot of them. I know a lot of them. They're good people. They're good human beings, but it just ain't working." End quote. He said, quote, "The fans deserve better. These players deserve better. These players don't even realize that they're being coached so poorly." End quote. Do you know what Jordan Simone's title, his employment status is now, Lonzo?
I would believe he would be unemployed now.
That is correct. Jordan Simone is now unemployed because, and you can argue that it was because he was overly harsh about the Arizona State Sun Devils football program. I'll hear the argument that maybe he went a little too far, but the frustration is real. The frustration is real. This team has lost 2 in a row to 2 bad teams. They are giving up points in bunches, giving up 34.5 points a game to 2 bad teams the last 2 games. I like Herm Edwards as a dude. He's a nice guy. I met him. He came down when I was in Florida. I was a member of a philanthropic group called the All Sports Association that raises money for local sports in the area. I was a member of that group, and Herm Edwards was our keynote speaker. Good guy. Really good guy. Did not love the hiring of him for Arizona State. I thought it was a publicity ploy. Thought it was a way to get attention that was going to cost him, and it looks like it has. It just took a little longer than I thought it might. Good dude, but Jordan Simone is correct. The team doesn't look good. They're losing bad football teams. They're giving up lots of points in the process, and they don't seem to be getting better. Jordan Simone is now unemployed because he was critical of the program, and the program decided, hey, flagship station, we're not cool with this. He's not welcome anymore, so he got canned. I'm not telling you who to and who not to listen to. I'm not indicting any particular personnel or radio station at all. All I'm saying is, when you listen to some situations, take a grain of salt with what people are saying, because this can happen. This can happen. Where a program gets a little too restrictive, doesn't take well to criticism, even when it is rightfully and justly owned, and will make a move like this.
And there's a lot of money involved in being that flagship station for whatever your hometown school is. And he had to know that there's possibility of repercussions for him, especially the last part of what he said.
Oh, yeah. Here's the thing. You know, I've worked on a flagship station before. Not for a long time, but I've worked on it before. And I will tell you that the directive that I got was be fair in your criticism and just know that the team is listening. And that's cool. Look, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to let y'all in a little secret. I'm going to pull the curtain back here for you just a little bit. We know that there are people from the Panthers that listen to what we say. There are people from Clemson that listen to what we have to say. There are people from South Carolina that listen to what we have to say. There are people from Furman who listen to what we have to say. From Wofford who listen to what we have to say. We know that. But we feel we have a job and responsibility to be fair, open, and honest with our opinions with you, the listeners. And we hope that the teams understand that that's all it is and don't start revoking access, which so far has not happened to me in my career. But I will also tell you that, again, this kind of thing can happen. So take what you hear with a grain of salt, and I'll leave it at that. 844-477-3776, 844-GSP-ESPN. Text us on the Ingles Market text line 71307. Texter says, approaching sports radio with a Homer state of mind makes for bad sports radio with misguided takes. You guys kick butt. Well, thank you very much, Texter. Appreciate that. We will continue to do our best to kick butt. Speaking of kicking butt, best sports talk radio show in the South Carolina area.
Well, there is that. There is that. Not the area, but the entire state.
The whole state.
The whole state, which I guess the area would, but I think you need to say the entire great state of South Carolina. Yes.
Quick break. When we come back, very quietly yesterday, the NCAA put forward a draft of a new constitution that would hand powers back from the centralized government of the NCAA to the conferences and the teams. What does that mean for us, the fans? I got some thoughts. I'll give them to you when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Redshirt senior safety Alex Phillum being named the Sun Belt Conference Special Teams Player of the Week after he blocked his second punt of the season this past Saturday in the win at Georgia Southern. That blocked punt did lead directly to a touchdown. Coastal Carolina currently ranked number 21 in one poll, number 22 in the other, and they are getting set to play host to Georgia State coming up this Saturday. Other college football this weekend for Clemson. They are going to play host to UConn on Saturday, while South Carolina, they've got their final road test this Saturday. They'll go to the other Columbia to face off against Missouri. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
ESPN Upstate is your home for Furman Paladins men's basketball. Every play and every game on ESPN Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg. On your computer, smart speaker, and phone on the Odyssey app.
Experience the best golf the Lowcountry has to offer at Cliff Island Golf and Beach Resort. Both of our 18-hole championship golf courses offer stunning natural beauty and challenging play. Golf at either Ocean Creek, featuring the Great Salt Marsh, or Ocean Point, showcasing 10 holes along the Atlantic. Our friendly and knowledgeable staff can create a custom stay and play accommodations package in one of our fantastic vacation rentals. Learn more by calling 866-976-1381 or visit us at CliffIslandResort.com.
All season, you can follow your favorite team, no matter where you are, on Odyssey, your audio home for football. Odyssey brings you local sports talk across the NFL's biggest markets. Get Monday morning reactions and exclusive interviews with football pros like Patrick Mahomes, Matt Jones, and more. Even check out what your rivals are up to with local coverage and fan reactions from their stations, plus podcasts for your team. We got you covered from all angles. Stay in touch with the heartbeat of your team, even when you're thousands of miles away. Download the Odyssey app today to get started.
Did you know the arrow in Amazon's logo represents A to Z? Maybe the My Computer Career logo should represent unemployed to employed. Ryan was out of work when he started classes in March. In September, he started his IT career, working for Amazon, making more money than he ever thought possible. Here's a prime opportunity. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. You could start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Fansville, a college football utopia. Where the lakes are stocked with ice-cold Dr. Pepper, and the autumn winds rustle with the sweet smell of football glory. It's a land flowing with onion dip, where even the food pyramid is shaped like a hot dog. where every yard gained is a yard worth celebrating, and every celebration is beyond excessive. With ice cold Dr. Pepper. Return to glory this season with Fansville by Dr. Pepper. Grab some today.
Report is paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. COVID hospitalizations of young people have tripled since the start of summer. So talk to your doctor if you've got vaccine questions. We can do this. Find vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Text us anytime at 71307.
Texter says another humble, air quotes, name drop from the 1%er. I'm going to be real honest with y'all. I've gotten to do some really cool stuff because of this career. All right. As I tell, I do what I can. And if anybody out there has a teenager or a college student that's looking to get into this business, tell them to email me, robbrown@espnupstate.com. I do what I can to mentor young kids trying to get into this business because it's not easy. It's a very cutthroat business to get into. And there are a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that people never see. That you hear the fun 3 hours we do. You see us posting from football games and boxing matches and soccer matches that we're going to. And you don't see all the hours of stuff that happens behind the scenes to make it work. It's not easy, right? But the price, the payoff for that is those memories we get, is the, catching a pass from Drew Brees and taking a sparring lesson from Roy Jones Jr. and all these cool stuffs I get to do. So yeah, if I got to meet Herm Edwards, I'm absolutely going to brag about it because it was a very cool thing. Got to talk football with him for 8-9 minutes, and he's a great dude. But that wasn't the point of that segment at all.
See, that just goes to show you, I didn't think anything of it. Because the fact that you met him, you've met a lot of people. That's part of that goes with this business. It adds credibility to what you do. The fact that you're able to interact with some of these people, I don't take it as a name drop. When Rob is name dropping, you'll know he's name dropping.
Oh yeah. The NCAA setting the stage for a potentially very dramatic restructuring of college sports, which is going to send power back from Indianapolis back to the 3 major divisions that act under its banner and to the individual conferences in the schools if it is approved. The Constitution, 18.5 pages long, that was set forward by the NCAA for discussion, not a vote, but discussion, is expected to be voted on in January. And right now, most of the major sports reporters, including those at the Associated Press, are saying that there's really not a lot of kickback about the 18.5 pages that was presented. The NCAA's next phase is going to, however, be a little bit more difficult to figure it out. It includes revenue distribution, how rules are made and enforced, access to the most high-profile and lucrative NCAA events, such as obviously the men's basketball tournament, and just how big the tent should be at the top of college sports. The 18.5 page Constitution, which if you are interested in reading, is available on the NCAA's website, throws forward a list of new concepts that will be adopted if the new Constitution is ratified. Here are some of the major bullet points. Number 1, the new Constitution will go across all 3 divisions at about 1/4 the length of the current Constitution. Number 2, the Constitution will clearly state the NCAA's new priorities. Number 3, the Constitution will provide the divisions the authority and autonomy to reorganize and restructure themselves. That's a big one. Earmark that. We'll come back to it. Number 4, streamlining decision-making authority on the association-wide issues to a board of governors that will be reduced from 21 members down to 9. Stick a pin in that. We'll come back to it. For the first time, the board in each of the divisional leadership bodies will include student athletes as voting members. That one is really interesting. We'll come back to that. The new Constitution will embrace name, image, and likeness benefits for student athletes while prohibiting pay for play. It reaffirms existing revenue allocations and championship opportunities for each division and assures that each division has oversight of its own budget expenditures and revenue distribution to members. It explicitly affirms the importance of student-athlete mental as well as physical health. It reaffirms the responsibility for institutional control rests with the president or the chancellor and provides a new emphasis on diversity, inclusion, and gender equity. Those are the stated new concepts in the 18.5-page Constitution that is being kicked around for discussion and will be voted on in January. And those interesting key marks I wanted to get back to. First and foremost, providing the divisions the authority and autonomy to reorganize and restructure themselves. In the past, those divisions had to basically go through the NCAA if they wanted to make any moves. Now, they will have more power in order to do what they wish in terms of their division and their division alone. And I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Let the people that have boots on the ground be the ones that have the loudest voice when it comes to organizational matters. It's, you know, you kind of want the officers in the battle to be the ones that can make the calls on the fly, not have to wait for info to get back and forth to the generals at HQ.
Isn't this kind of like, to me, like they believe that all the rumors of people thinking of seceding from the NCAA is true and are trying to throw bones to people to keep the NCAA together?
Yes, and I'm okay with that. Yes, and I'm okay with that. Because if you have enough people at lower tier levels that are going, we're unhappy we're unhappy with the way everything's going right now, and we want fundamental changes. And if those changes aren't made, then we will find ways to get out and make them on our own. And those people have enough behind them that the NCAA has to take them seriously, then yeah, go ahead and restructure. Go ahead and make the moves. Go ahead and start making changes. Try to find the balance, because right now there's no balance between the divisional rulers and the NCAA who hold the hammer.
Is this enough, though? Is this enough to keep the teams that, you know, are considering, we know a super conference is on its way. That's what the SEC is. And if more teams should join it and they should decide, you know what, thank you, NCAA, but we don't need you anymore. Would this be enough to persuade teams to stay in the NCAA? I
think this is focused more at the lower divisions, right? Because let's be real. If the SEC and the ACC, just pick one. The SEC and the ACC decided to get together and say, you know what? We're done with the NCAA. We're going to start our own conference. We're going to do our own thing over here, and our champion will be our national champion. The NCAA, A, wouldn't be able to do a lot about it, and B, would have a legit threat to their monopoly. So now what they're saying is we're going to give that power to the SEC, to the ACC, but to the MAC and the WAC and the SWAC and all the other acts that are below them to start making the changes on the ground that they have said they want to see made in order to stay a part of one body. I think it's the right thing to do. This does not disband the NCAA. It just takes a lot of the decision-making power and shifts it back to the conferences and the schools, which I think most of us are going to be on board with. I don't love the idea of streamlining the decision-making authority, quote, on the association-wide issues, end quote, to a board of governors and reducing it from 21 down to 9. I get a lot of people go, hey, the reason that's bad is there are too many chefs in the kitchen, right? Too many voices at the table. But I think the problem in a case like this, when you've got, 1,500 institutions under the NCAA's control from top to bottom, from Division I all the way down to Division IV. When you've got that many voices together, it means there is a better chance of representation for the University of West Florida playing under the NCAA banner, right? They got a better chance of having somebody at that table go, look, I know you guys are worried about Oklahoma and Texas, but we got to get ours too for us to survive. And when you take members away from the table, you relax the chance that some of the smaller schools, Furman and Wofford, have the opportunity to get their voices heard when it comes to these association-wide issues. I do like this one. For the first time, the board in each of the divisional leadership bodies will include student athletes as voting members. So it has gone from, hey, student athletes, you know, the ones that Rob and Lonzo tune in on Saturdays to actually watch play. We're not just going to tell you we're going to listen to your voice and then vote away from you, but you're going to get to vote too. You guys have power over how this machine works, and I think that's good for college sports.
If NIL hadn't existed, would they be invited to the table to be a part of this?
Maybe.
Because now they are. You can stop with the student athlete thing.
No, they're still student athletes. They still go to class.
Wow.
They still have scholastic requirements, air quote. They're still student athletes. They're not getting paid to play football. They're getting paid to be themselves because of football. But the checks they're cutting for NIL isn't because they are playing football. It's because they have a brand. The brand is built by playing football, but there is a division there. But I think one way you ensure that college football survives is to make sure that the kids who are providing that service to you are giving you the college football, basketball, baseball, swimming, soccer, lacrosse, track and field, have the ability to say, hey, from the perspective of a competitor, you know, the guy or gal that's going out there and doing the damn thing, here's our problems. Here's our issues. Here are our concerns. And give them a voice to help enact change. They won't have more power than the governors, but they will have a seat at the table, which I think is good. And then finally, we knew this one already. Embraces name, image, and likeness benefits for student athletes while prohibiting pay for play. And I think that's fine. We knew there was going to be some chaos at the beginning of NIL. We knew there's chaos anytime that you have a sweeping change like NIL has been in the world of college athletics. It's like anything else. You have to go to the unmarked territory before you can draw the map. The map gets drawn by exploration, not by guessing what that piece of land looks like before you ever see it. We knew it was going to be a little chaos. It has been. But just like I told y'all when the NIL conversation started up, slow your roll, back down just a little bit, because as these things roll out and as we have Spencer Rattlers of the world go through what they're going through, businesses in the NCAA will react with new rules based on what we have seen. And that's what this seems to be, and I'm here for it. Your thoughts are welcome. 864-448-3772, 864-GSP-ESPN. Text us on the Ingles Market text line, 71307. Start your text with ESPN. Texter says, how much of the new constitution of the NCAA is a result of the NIL? Some. Probably not as much as you'd think if you're anti-NIL. But some of it is, sure. Some of it is a response to athletes being empowered over the past few years. No doubt about it. Texter says, can we get a bump where Rob does a voiceover for his new wrestling persona, the 1%er? Yes, I will cut that audio from you live from my 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment later today. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. Rob Lonzo, you with ESPN Upstate.
This to imply that 1%ers can't have a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom. I mean, we don't know. That thing could be the size of a house.
You don't need a 2-iron to get across my living room. I'll just say that.
24/7 access to virtual care, so I could have therapy from my couch. Yep. Or a doctor appointment from my car. If you wanted to. Wait, you're right. I don't even like when people see me sing in the car. Couch appointment it is. Virtual visits are just one of the ways United Healthcare helps connect you with better health. Learn more at uhc.com. Plan benefits may vary.
Marcus by Goldman Sachs offers personal loans with no fees ever. Banks offer coffee. So what's more important? A Marcus by Goldman Sachs loan with no fees that could help consolidate debt, or bank coffee that tastes like bank coffee. You can money. Visit Marcus.com to learn more about saving, borrowing, and investing from Marcus by Goldman Sachs.
Investing involves risk and investments linked to value. Brokerage and investment advisory services by Goldman Sachs and Company, LLC. Member FINRA SIPC. Lending and deposits products provided by Goldman Sachs Bank USA. Member FDIC.
Running a small business means just that, always running.
Woo! You're not kidding.
Which is why this holiday, while the other guys, not mentioning any names, are kicking it back, we'll be kicking it into gear by leaving our doors open for you. So whatever the ing you need this holiday, whether it's packing, shipping, or mailboxing, we'll be right here waiting.
Now that's an ing worth celebrating.
The UPS Store, every ing for small business, all in one place.
The UPS Store.
The UPS Store locations are independently owned. Product, services, pricing, and hours may vary. See Center for details.
Vaccines to help protect you this season with flu and COVID-19. Learn more at cdc.gov/vaccines.
Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs.
27 Notre Dame Fighting Irish into the season with quarterback Johnny Burjack, the Heisman favorite, and considered one of the greatest in college football.
Saw you playing Avengers yesterday. Thought about jumping on there, and then I realized that I don't have it downloaded. And I'm already starting to run out of room.
Yeah.
I haven't had that problem in a while because I had 2 hard drives on my Xbox.
I'll say, are you going to put a new hard drive on it?
I'm not sure
You
they
may have
work.
to, huh?
I don't think they work. I don't think the storage works the same way for. You can store non
right
Series X games, but I don't think you can store Series X games on. If I could, I would have already switched them because all those games are already saved on those hard drives. And to get the kind of storage you need, it's like $250
Yeah.
or something like that. It's like, yeah, I can just delete stuff. I don't.
All right, heading towards the end of the show. It's the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate. I am Rob Brown. He is Lonzo. Be a part of the show, 844-GSP, ESPN, 844-477-3776 is the number. Real quick, throw this out there because I know we got a handful of soccer fans in the listening audience. Christian Pulisic is back with the U.S. men's national soccer team. He is back for the Friday matchup against Mexico, which is a huge one. Keep in mind that Mexico is number 1 on the CONCACAF qualifying table right now. The United States is 3 points behind in second, and Canada is currently 1 point behind the Americans in third place. And you got to be in one of those 3 spots to get the auto qualifier. The United States takes on Mexico. With a win, they would jump up to tie Mexico in the number 1 spot, which would be huge going up against Jamaica a few days later. If they draw with Mexico, they stay in second. However, if they draw with Mexico and Canada wins their first game of this next window, then the Americans would drop down to third and would have their backs against the wall, whereas the Canadians would jump up to second and have a couple of points worth of breathing room. Pulisic was named to the U.S. squad last week after returning from an ankle injury in the 4-1 victory over Honduras 2 months ago. But since he has shown back up with Chelsea, he has played a total of 23 minutes as a substitute for the Blues against Malmo and Burnley, which is not ideal as it stands right now. Asked if Pulisic was ready to play a significant role for the U.S. during the international window Chelsea manager, the Chelsea manager Thomas Tuchel said that, quote, Christian still feels some pain. It's a matter of pain management. It's not a matter of re-injury or still being injured. It's just painful. He has tried hard. He wants desperately to come back. We needed him back. It was a good start for him in Malmo today. He had 10 minutes against Burnley. We were a bit worried. Hopefully everybody, including himself, is responsible and doesn't get carried away by emotions and by helping his country to win a super important match. Hopefully it all goes well and the minutes will elevate him and he will come back stronger. Now, the U.S. would likely not need to rely too heavily on Christian Pulisic, except for there is a double injury blow that came as Barcelona fullback Sergiño Dest and Borussia Dortmund midfielder Giovanni Reina were ruled out of the fixtures against Mexico and Jamaica. Neither will be available for the next two matches in this window. Both of those guys have been key parts of the wins the Americans have stacked up lately, which puts a heightened importance on Pulisic's return. Greg Berhalter, manager of the U.S. team, has insisted that he will be very cautious in managing Pulisic's minutes after spending the past 2 months on the sideline. He says, quote, we're going to see what kinds of minutes he gets. It was unexpected that he played against Malmo and he ended up playing a little bit. So for us, it's about progressing him in a safe way. We know he's valuable to the team. We know we want him on the field, but we're also not willing to risk anything. It's about how he feels, and depending on that will dictate what role he plays in these two games, end quote. So Christian Pulisic back with the U.S. men's national team as they continue the World Cup qualifying campaign. They have got Mexico coming up on Friday evening. El Tri, who has been playing better football, but El Tri is 0-3 against the Americans in the last three. You know that they are going to give everything they have against the U.S. on Friday. It is a critical 3 points for the Americans. You need to jump Mexico. You need to get to number one. You need to create some space between you and Canada. By the way, a win over Mexico and a Canada win in the first game of the qualifying window would knock Mexico down to third with almost zero momentum behind them. All right. At least against the top two teams ahead of them in the CONCACAF table. So this is an enormous match on Friday. We will break that match down in great detail on Friday afternoon when we all get together for the Rob Brown Show. Let's take a break. When we come back, believe it or not, a full round of Twitter trending topics today. We're actually going to put some time into it because I'm not being lazy and I'm on the clock. Shocking as Lonzo may find it. He is the great one. I am Rob Brown. You're listening to the Rob Brown Show right here on ESPN Upstate.
QC.
Our friends at QC Kinetics want you to be able to live your life without pain, to live your life without, more importantly, maybe the fear of pain. Look, the pain's bad enough. But how awful is it to want to be able to roll around on the floor with the grandkids or play around at golf or get out and ride the motorcycle, whatever you want to do. And it gets ruined for you because you know, yeah, I really enjoy doing this thing, but I'm going to be hurting for days afterwards. And worse, how bad does it feel when somebody says, oh, you got to have surgery? That's the only way to fix this. What if I told you you might have a better option? What if I told you that there was a way to get better, faster, naturally, without surgery, without pain, without drugs, without steroids? Well, there is. You need to get in touch with our friends at QC Kinetics. QCKINETIX.com. QC Kinetics offers non-surgical regenerative therapies that will help your body restore that natural connective tissue inside your joints, reduce the inflammation, and get rid of the pain. You go in, you meet Dr. Richard Schaefer, MD. He'll explain the therapy, you get the therapy, and on the same day, you're right back out.
Partly cloudy, 37. By Wednesday,
rain showers cloudy, high 65. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Ruchitsky on ESPN Upstate. Currently, it's 76.
Bum, 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 bum.
With a preview of Thursday night football. AFC action this week between the Ravens and the Dolphins. Baltimore is 6-2, coming off an overtime win against the Vikings. Miami feeling pretty good as well, having just broken its 7-game losing streak. Ross Tucker joins me for the Ravens and the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football. Thursday night at 8. The NFL plays here on ESPN Upstate.
Do you need a new roof or think you do? I'd like to talk to you. My name is Paul Campbell, and I've been fixing and replacing roofs in the Upstate for over 15 years. If you have questions about the condition of your roof or possible storm damage, call me and I will personally come out and check your roof and give you an honest assessment and a fair price. Call me today at 864-346-3121. That's 864-346-3121. Or find me at rooferpaul.com. That's rooferpaul.com.
Some holiday parties are kind of... But with reimagined catering from Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers, your party can be... From munchies and dips to pizzas, sandwiches, salads, boxed lunches, party trays, and desserts, our full-service catering menu is sure to create the holiday karma your party deserves. So don't stress out, cater in, and mellow out with the Mellow Mushroom on Augusta Street in Greenville's West End.
ESPN Upstate is your home for Vernon Paladin football. The Paladins try to get back in the win column at home against the VMI Keynuts this Saturday. Pre-game at 12:30 at off at 2. Every play and every game. ESPN Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM Spartanburg. And on the Odyssey app.
Restrictions may apply. Prices and cost of coverage may vary. Call Protect My Car for details. Look, money's tight for everyone right now. It's been a tough year, and you sure don't need to get hit with a big unexpected bill. Like, what if your car breaks down right now? How are you paying the bill? If it's your transmission, that's over $3,000. Your engine, up to $6,000. Even minor repairs like your air conditioning can hit your wallet hard. Here's the good news: if you have a car, truck, or SUV that's $19.99 or more, you can stop paying for repairs right now. That's right. With Protect My Car, when your car breaks down, we pay your repair bill for you. Just dial 800-279-2827 on your mobile phone now to get started. Protect My Car pays for repairs to your engine, transmission, air conditioning, suspension, and so much more. Dial 800-279-2827 and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Dial 800-279-2827 on your mobile phone right now and get free roadside assistance, free towing, free car rental, and free oil changes. Dial 800-279-2827 and never pay for car repairs again. Dial 800-279-2827.
Oh, won't you stick with me, baby? I'm going to make a lot of bread. I need both money and actual bread. But right now I need dough, cause my delivery truck's dead. And by dough I need money. Trucks don't run on bread.
Owning a small business isn't always as lovely as it sounds. But with personalized discounts that save you money, Progressive Commercial gets you on the road. Get a quote as low as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
I need more dough. Need with an M. I need more dough. Need with a K.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company provides coverage and discounts for users. All terms and conditions apply.
Lowe's November event is back, and we're thanking pros like you all month long.
So Caleb Plant from Nashville fought Canelo Alvarez this past weekend in a boxing match that nobody talked about, myself included. It's my fault. Somebody just put up a video from ringside of the two of them fighting each other, and they're complimenting each other as they're fighting. Canelo's like, or Plant's like, dude, you're pretty good. Canelo's like, hey, you're pretty good too. And he's like, am I? And Canelo's like, yeah, it's a good fight. I like it. And Plant's like, yeah, I like it. It's a good fight. We can keep going. Like, and they're just complimenting each other while punching each other in the nose.
You kind of saw that in UFC too, except it was more like smiling whenever like man, this is fun.
Yep.
All right, it's time for Twitter trending topics, where I even Twitter trending topics.
Say it, but I saw earlier today that somebody had released or found a picture taken from the Survivor Series that the Montreal Screwjob happened at. And it was kind of a really interesting picture because the crowd that just 10 seconds later would be raucous as the hitman wrote WCW in the air with his finger. But I don't know if that's why he's trending.
Well, on this day in 19... I don't know why.
No idea. Unrelated, I'm sure.
All right, so was it work? Was it work? Was it real? Was it written?
You know, I genuinely don't know.
Because you know what, if you were to get messed over by the powers that be and you walked over and you punched them in the eye,
yeah,
I'm just guessing maybe there's a lawsuit
Legit,
and you're going to jail.
Yeah.
I'm just that's the thing that always bothered me, unless McMahon.
Bother me. Like, I'm gonna let you off the right, because charges. I believe that considering it was kind of away from law enforcement, like he would have had to want to press charges for there to have been arrest there. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. It's like, and honestly,
that's always been a sticking point for me. As far as police or some sort of lawsuit.
Yeah, you got a point. But I don't know how, like, I don't know how the situation played out enough to where what would have been required for there to be a battery charge filed there. You know, whether Vince would have had to wanted it filed, whether it had been observed by a law enforcement
and
officer.
we would have had to see if that black eye was real or if makeup took care of that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that sort
But
of thing.
it's just it's look, it's a job where those people are paid to lie to
How
us.
many years later did we find out that Jerry Lawler, that the whole thing with Andy Kaufman was not real? It took a really long time. And I get they're sticking by this. I get it. But I think at some point we find out that it was all staged.
I could see it, but I could also see, just for the sake of the business, both of them going to their grave with the knowledge. You know? I don't know.
Well, maybe when Vince passes away in his will, he has it, you know, someone reads the Montreal Screwjob.
And also.
Yes. All right, the next thing.
Frank Gore is trending because Frank Gore has signed a contract to fight former NFL running back Frank Gore, has signed a contract to fight former NBA player Darren Williams.
Yes.
In a boxing match on the undercard of the Jake Paul, not Tyson Fury fight, Tommy Fury. That's not moving the needle for me. It's really not. Like, it's just not. It's I don't know, man. I just, as a boxing fan, and this is where I'll be the haughty boxing fan, like, I'm not going to pay you $70 to watch not boxers box when there's Caleb Plant versus Canelo Alvarez available.
Especially while we have found out that there's possibly that thing in the contract that says you can't.
The no knockout clause?
The no knockout.
I 100% believe that.
I don't think. But the Paul brothers.
Yeah, Jake Paul. There are a lot of people, including the brother of Tyron Woodley, who he fought in his last fight, saying that Jake Paul puts a no knockout clause in the contracts for his fights that effectively say if you knock Jake Paul out, you don't get your purse money from the fight, which would explain why Woodley appeared to put Jake Paul to sleep in the last fight, but then double underhooked him and carried him to the ropes and held him until he came back online and away, and then really didn't throw any more power punches after that moment. But again, if he puts that in the contract plus an NDA in the contract, then you
don't have to sign it. I mean,
yeah, but you don't get the fight in the $1.5 million that comes with it if you don't.
There's that too. All right, the next thing is trending. It could be spoilery, but it doesn't matter. Corey Graves is trending.
So Corey Graves, and I have not watched.
That's what I'm saying.
But from the pictures I saw earlier, it looked like he was temporarily the 24/7 champion.
Yes, he was. He absolutely was.
As was Byron Sexton. It looked like
Byron pinned Corey Graves.
They had Byron go over Corey Graves.
Yes, they did. I don't think it wasn't said a couple times afterwards, and will be used now and forever by Byron.
I would like.
So good on Corey for going along
I
with
would
that.
like to go on the record and say that is the most compelling reason to watch Monday Night Raw I have had in a long time.
And as I'm watching this, all I can think of is, okay, if wrestlers are allowed back in the building someday, Rob and I need to win this belt. I mean, even if it's just for a moment, hey, you can pin me. I don't care. I just let me get the belt.
Just let me have one picture as the 24/7 champion. Yeah, I don't care. I mean, they ever come back around here and we write to get the wrestlers to come in the building for interviews, you better believe that the first request I'm putting in is whoever is 24/7 champ at that day.
Oh, without a doubt. All right,
What do you think happens? What do you think happens if the 24/7 champ comes in? We don't work out with them beforehand that we're going to get a pin, and we just try it. We just go for a pin. Like R-Truth is mid-segment with you, and I just sneak up behind him and small package roll him up. What do you think happens? Get my ass kicked?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. R-Truth is over. Okay, I was going to say we had time for one more. It's Chris Jericho.
Break the walls down.
It's his birthday.
Happy birthday, Chris.
51.
The face of AEW, just ask him.
51.
I wish. I was going to say, I wish I could be in that good of shape at 51. Lonzo, I wish I could be in that good of shape at 36.
Well,
I am not.
I'm 53, and I'm definitely not in that kind of shape, so,
That's it for the show. Mark Ryan and Diesel are up next with Offside. Y'all make sure to tell Diesel that if you see your ball, but it's in the woods, it's still a one-stroke drop, all right? Text that to him throughout his show. We're back tomorrow to do it all over again on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Later, brother.